Experience the true meaning of the holiday season through the endless rambling and tomfoolery of America's most beloved movie podcasters. It's Christmas with Film Tangents.
It's the Film Tangents Christmas Special. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome back.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Yep, welcome back. Thanks for being with us for the final episode of all the Film Tangents. We're done. No, I'm just kidding. The final episode.
The podcast is over.
Yeah.
The podcast is done.
Yeah. The podcast is done for 2024. We're going to be back next year in late January, early February. But this is a wrap on season 2. As you can see from the title, we're going to be doing Home Alone, but we're going to tangent for a little while before that, and we'll also sprinkle in some some skits and some little Christmas goodies in there for you guys as well. So thanks for joining us. So I realized that our last episode came out after the Paul Tyson fight, and on the episode we had recorded it before the fight, so we're like making predictions. And then, of course, it had already happened, and you get to hear our predictions after the fact, which is kind of funny. Yeah, like we kind of, I feel like we were kind of on the money with it in terms of like not really sure about Mike Tyson, you know?
Yeah.
We approached it with a healthy skepticism, I think.
Yeah, because it's fascinating with that stuff, isn't it? Because you are confronted with a legacy, right? Because the thing with Mike Tyson, it's like, oh, he's like a boogeyman, and we all grew up knowing who Mike Tyson is.
Yeah.
And so then it's this question mark of like, does the legacy of this guy, as having potentially been on his prime, the greatest boxer to ever live,
Yeah.
like, does that legacy suffice? Does that body work in that peak, is that sufficient enough to justify, thinking that the guy had a shot against a dude half his age, and not even half his age. Jake Paul is like less than half his age, It's like a dude that's like so much younger than you, whom, despite the fact that he only does his kind of like show fights for millions of dollars, because I think he made like 40 millions for that. Like, despite that, the guy has had like somewhat legitimate fights here and there that have caused people to have just like a genuine impression of him as a fighter. So it's like, apparently the fight had like at some point like 108 million viewers is what Netflix reported. That was like the peak of it.
That shit was crashing.
Dude.
It was. Yeah,
mine crashed too.
That was apparently the peak, but I mean, I was one of them. Jake didn't know that I was one of them. I watched it for like 5 minutes. I didn't stay up for the fight because they just had all these like fights like preambling, like the actual fight with Mike Tyson happened like at midnight. And by that point, dude, I was fast asleep, so I did not give a fuck.
The fight right before them was awesome. The two women.
So I hear. I hear that it was pretty interesting.
Let me see what I got. I don't remember their names.
I hear someone was robbed. I hear that they gave the match to the person that didn't deserve it.
Yeah, she kept the champion kept headbutting. And they thought they should have taken more points off. She was kind of fighting dirty, but so they but it's kind of I believe, and again, I'm kind of a layman with boxing. I'm more of an MMA guy, but with boxing, I think judges have had a history, right, of like kind of opting for the champion when it's a close fight and there's no knockout, obviously. Right. But yeah, let me see. I'm trying to find the fight card. Paul Tyson card. who are those women that fought before them? Anyway, people know who we're talking about. But yeah, that was an incredible fight. I couldn't believe how much stamina both of them had. That fight really goes to show you that, because I've mentioned before, I'm a Muay Thai boxer, and it's all cardio. Like, I've mentioned this before probably, but I've been in sparring sessions where it's like I'm operating at probably like 10% of my potential in terms of striking and defense because I'm just winded. It's like it does when you get to a point where you're like so exhausted and just crapped out, then it really, it's like you can't, it's frustrating, man. It's like trying to it's like trying to play a video game with the controller unplugged, or whatever, or like trying to play a game where you don't know the controls. That whole meme on the internet where it's like, oh, this guy looked like
your little brother.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're playing a game like where you don't know the controls anymore. Like it really sucks. Your body will not do what your brain tells it to do when you're winded. That's why cardio is so important, and that's why like a lot of Muay Thai classes have an emphasis on working out as well. Like I had a Muay Thai instructor where back in the day where we would spend half the class working out. Like I remember other classes would be like, it looks like all you guys do is work out. And I was like, yeah, because it's like, there's like no out of shape people, Muay Thai fighters. There's tons and tons of out of shape, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, like, even, boxers, wrestlers. There's like no out of shape Muay Thai guys because it's you get gassed easily with those kicks. The kicks make a huge difference too. If you think throwing a punch is hard when you're winded, try throwing a kick or blocking a kick with your, because in Muay Thai you do what's called a check, which you block kicks with your knee. I mean, you're done. But that's kind of what happened to Tyson, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. You could tell. And I wonder how much of that from that fight was really attributed to him coming out with such a heavy pace and just coming out swinging and really pressing and being aggressive. I would have been really interested to see how long. I don't think he could have done the full 8 rounds, regular cardio, regular pace, but I think he did, definitely burn out a lot quicker than he maybe could have. If he had, come out with a little less aggressive, but that could have been part of his strategy, trying to just knock Jake Paul out and not have to go the distance, knowing he might not be in shape to do so, or just keep up with somebody, 27-year-old.
Yeah, so a couple things about the fight I want to address too. There's a few opinions I have. It's one thing that I didn't think about until after the fight. After the fight, you kept seeing all of these like clickbait videos and articles where it's like Mike Tyson, I almost died, speaks after fight with Jake Paul. And of course, it's clickbait because it leads you to believe he's talking about he thought he was going to die at the hands of Jake Paul. When really what these clickbaity articles are, actually trying to tell you is, and it's so fucking annoying, these clickbait things, but what they're actually talking about is this past summer, Mike Tyson had sepsis, which is pretty much the biggest medical emergency you can have, short of like a gunshot wound to a major artery, from my very limited medical understanding. Like sepsis is very fucking bad. And that really slowed him down because a lot of people don't know. I didn't realize this until after, but 4 years ago, Mike Tyson had a fight. He fought Roy Jones Jr. during the pandemic.
He did fight Roy Jones Jr.
And he looked good during that fight, dude. He looked good. He looked way better. And that was only 4 years ago. 54 and 58, both fights were him in his 50s. And I know 4 years, a lot can happen. But one of those things that happened was the sepsis, which is a huge health scare. And like I said, I mean, from my understanding, that's like one of the most serious freaking health scares ever. that's going to take you out. That's a road to recovery, if you survive that. And that was a huge factor.
Because didn't they initially push back this fight? Because wasn't this fight supposed to happen like earlier?
Yeah, and that's why they pushed it back, I believe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Only real news on Film Tangents. That's 100% why they pushed it back. No, I'm pretty sure.
Fact check.
Pretty sure that
fact
we need a fact
podcast.
checker. Sometimes when I'm making claims like this, I would love
Jamie.
if one of you two would like just fact, Google it. But so that's one thing. Another thing is that a lot of people have been speculating whether the fight was fixed.
Right.
The fight
Right,
with
'cause, like-
Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul was 100% fixed.
Right, because then the issue is like, and I'm getting the idea that you guys. Well, I haven't fucking watched this fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have if I would have stayed up. Like, I'm not gonna watch it now that I just slept through it and I know who won. Who cares?
Yeah, you didn't miss
But-
anything. It's not a good fight.
Yeah, but like, from what Jack said, it leads me, like, the inclination that I have is that, if he kind of tired himself out early, but at the end of the day he was still standing when the match ended, and like Jake Paul like bowed to him. It's like, it leads me to believe that, then Paul didn't really punish him for being tired. They just kind of fooled around until the match was over.
Before we keep going on that, I looked it up. It was originally scheduled for July 20th,
Yeah.
but it got pushed back because Tyson had a stomach ulcer flare up
Yeah. And that's, I think
Okay.
that's what led to
tied to
sepsis. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know if, here's the thing, because a lot of people basically think like, oh, maybe there was like some gentleman's agreement, like that we weren't going to knock
Right.
each other out. The problem with that is if you watch closely, you don't even have to watch that closely. They threw bombs at each other at several points that could have knocked the other guy out.
Right.
And at certain points, there were some bombs that were thrown by both guys that missed, and had they connected, pretty fucking good chance of knocking the guy out. So I don't know about that. I get it. Like, everything's fake nowadays. Everything's kind of fixed. Like, who knows what's going on behind back doors? But I'm just not sure about that. And then some people say like, well, maybe Jake Paul took it easy on Mike Tyson because
Mhm.
the Paul brothers know that their public image is already pretty negative. I don't believe that for a second.
I
They
think it's
don't
bullshit.
care. They
That's
make a
bullshit.
living off of being douchebags, and Jake Paul
do,
would
yeah.
never. I don't think that guy would ever turn down the opportunity to say, "I knocked out Mike Tyson."
I
Like,
think
no.
the issue was that he was trying to throw bombs, but he just kept forgetting what he wrote down.
Yeah, They were trying to make it.
The whole
entertaining. That was
crowd
the
goes so
only-
loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. No, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead, Jack.
I was gonna say that was the only really skepticism I had for the fight, was if there was, a no knockout clause in the background, and they were trying to sell it. I don't know. It could go either way for me. I'm a little more skeptic than you, Jake, especially with Jake Paul's kind of other ventures. And this was one of the more legit promotions that he's been a part of. And it was an official fight, so I would be a little more skeptic in that scenario. But I don't know. I felt like Jake could have probably punished him a little bit more, but maybe
Right,
me
right.
just being a casual boxing watcher, and I don't fight or do combat sports, so like, could just be me not knowing my shit and knowing how well Mike was able to defend and just kind of make it through the fight. But
Mhm.
I'm definitely skeptic, because there was times where I thought Jake could have really probably pressed the pace, where he was a little more maybe conservative than I thought he would be. But
Yeah. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. I think what I would say is I agree. I would have agreed with you right after seeing the fight, but after watching clips back and seeing some of them slowed down, just some of the haymakers thrown by both guys were like, there's no way that wasn't trying to knock the guy out. And also, like, one thing too is I think a lot of people and again, this isn't like hero worshiping. This isn't like just trying to like give Mike Tyson more credit than he deserves. But I will say one thing that I noticed during the fight that I really don't think people are giving Tyson enough credit for, and that Jake Paul actually did give him credit for on a podcast after the fact, was Mike's defense and how quick he slips those punches and just how well his because he was gassed, but his defense was, was still pretty good. I know Jake landed like 200 plus punches. It wasn't great, but, Mike's, it was like, I don't know. Again, I'm kind of a layman, and maybe the part of this is just part of me like wanting to give Mike Tyson credit, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to call, I guess.
He didn't sustain any. Yeah, he didn't sustain any like critical damage or was wobbling or take any big hits. So
yeah,
that in itself is an achievement at his age.
Yeah, I feel like the general consensus, from my understanding anyway, of what I've been able to see, is that the general consensus seems to be more or less that they just kind of sold. That they sold and they made millions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
As I was paying the cashier for my Christmas tree, he looks up and asks, "Are you putting that up yourself?" I said, "No, I'm putting it up in my living room."
I'll tell you my least favorite part of the whole event was after the fight when they're in the ring, and this just you guys probably know what I'm going to say already, but this was a moment where I was like, this is why people hate the Paul brothers and will always hate the Paul brothers. So Mike Tyson and Jake Paul just had a fight. Mike Tyson, the legend, Iron Mike Tyson, just lost to Jake Paul.
Right.
That's a tough, it can't be easy. Of course he got a big payday and it was kind of a fundraiser for Mike Tyson, for both of them.
Right.
But it's like, okay, the fight's over and they're in the ring being interviewed. And someone says to Mike Tyson, the interviewer says to Ariel Helwani, the goofball, says to Mike Tyson, he's like, are we going to see you again? Like, when are we going to see you in the future? And Mike Tyson says, well, I don't know, maybe I'll fight Logan. And he goes, Logan, what do you think about that? The interviewer says that. And Logan says, I'll fucking kill you, Mike. And I just rolled my fucking eyes at that moment and was like,
read the room, bro.
I know. It's like, you guys are just the biggest douchebags on the planet, man. Yeah. Like, words can't even express the douchebaggery that's shared between those two brothers. Like, how did that much douchebaggery go, like, fit in their genetic code is my question.
It's tragic.
Funny part is Jake was a bigger class act than Logan by a mile, and that's not really how you think of those two. You think of Jake always being the douchier one and the asshole.
Yeah.
But he shook his hand, made up, and said like, "Oh, this is a good slap." But Logan had other plans.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes, I'll fucking
Which
kill
I don't
Mike.
think Logan's the better boxer of those two, but that's just me.
Yeah, it seems like Jake maybe takes it more seriously. I don't know. But yeah, it's like you guys are a joke. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about, just us destroying our heroes in the name of money. Like, that's really what it is. It's not even a cultural thing. It's just how we know that our heroes are a draw, but we also want to we also have this nihilistic view of, hey, let's like punk them down,
Right.
And I just remember there was a moment at the end of the special where the credits are rolling and they show Jake Paul backstage, and then they cut to Mike Tyson backstage and the credits are rolling. They're like, thank you for joining us on Netflix, blah, blah. Mike Tyson's talking to somebody. And then he turns around and he walks away and he's wearing like this sumo wrestler, like thong type thing. So you can see his entire ass.
That happened before the fight.
Yeah, and I was just like, it just kind of it kind of hit me like, oh shit, our society's a fucking joke. It's like it was. I think it was the last shot of the special too. It was like it summed everything up perfectly. Like it was like a brilliant like
Yeah, that went viral.
it was a great
like
period at the end of the sentence that was Tyson versus Paul, where it's like we're just making asses out of our heroes now.
Yeah, it went viral after that, but it was. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Fuck, where it's like these people are in certain positions, where it's like Mike Tyson is somebody whom, obviously has lived life in a certain way, and a lot of people from that time period did, to the point that a lot of those guys have like debts, and
Yeah.
they're trying to figure out like a way of like feeding their kids or just making sure that if they pass away there's some money in the bank, and it's like that's what we talked about with like Mark Hamill and stuff like that, where it's like obviously these guys have a price tag on them, and it's like it's like how much money how much more money are we going to pay, like how much money is it worth for Mike Tyson to allow himself to basically be humiliated, and to put this kind of stain on him, like, oh, this guy beat you, although not that big of a stain anyway, because the guy's 60, but it's almost like this thing, like you were saying, it's like it's our heroes are up for sale, and then the price for buying them is humiliating them,
right?
And that's just the society that we're in.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like it doesn't matter what I think because I watched it, I contributed to it, I made them money.
Right.
Anyone who tuned into that stream, I don't know how it works with Netflix, like how they make money off a live stream. I don't know about the economics of it, but whoever tuned into that stream contributed to the machine. So it doesn't matter that we walk away from the Tyson Paul fight or the fucking Last Jedi or whatever it might be, saying like, oh, they ruined this past thing. It's like, they're laughing all the way to the bank, So, and we're talking about it on our podcast to boot.
Exactly. It's the South Park thing, isn't it? With like the whole like they the GRAPE.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, it's that thing, isn't it? Where it's just like, and it's been happening for so long that it's just like nobody respects our heroes, and this is the society that we're living in.
Jack, did you ever see that with the Indiana Jones episode of South Park?
No, I've not seen that. It seems like a must watch.
Yeah, I got
it's a must watch.
Yeah. It's like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg like legit assault the character Indiana Jones, like because it's like a metaphor for how they they metaphorically assaulted the character by making like that awful Kingdom of the Crystal Skull movie, but then in South Park they literally assault him, and it's it is, dude, that episode's incredible.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that they did it again. They released a new one, and then the new one I don't think even made money.
Good.
And it's just with old ass Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Again, just because he's collecting a paycheck. Because I think Harrison Ford, from his perspective, he's like, who am I to be the? And I think this is the same thing's true about Tyson and about Mark Hamill and all of these folks, where I guess they think to themselves like, who am I to be? Like why are these heroes or why are these characters or anything supposed to be preserved at my expenses? I feel like that's the way that they think about it. Because obviously for Harrison Ford, it was probably a humongous paycheck to be in that Indiana Jones movie. So he probably thinks to himself like, why should I not get paid to sleepwalk through a movie just because people are gonna get in their feelings about Indiana Jones? You know. Yeah.
No, I mean you can totally understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand it, but at the same time, it's like, don't you have a little bit of respect for like your career and what it means to people? Like,
some people do. Some people do.
Yeah, some people do, and I mean, I've even been noticing some of the stuff. I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of American football, but like this year, there's some quarterbacks who are just old and just like need to give it up. and just retire. And I just think it's like all of these kind of things in film and boxing and
Before their wives
football,
divorce him and they get pregnant by their fitness instructor.
But it's like you're just tarnishing your own legacy. Like sometimes it's like better to get out early.
Well,
you have enough money, these guys
on the subject of legacy and tarnishing, you know that Rafael Nadal had his last match on Tuesday, right?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, Rafael Nadal he retired from tennis. He's officially retired. He played in the Davis Cup. Yeah.
Yep.
It was Spain versus Netherlands. He lost his last professional match, as it usually is with any athlete, and that retired him. And he's not a tennis player anymore. Quite something.
One of the more tenacious tennis players to ever be a part of the game. I mean, he came back from a lot of injuries and issues,
I think that's gonna be his legacy, man. Like, I think his legacy, like, obviously he won the French Open 14 times, but I think his legacy, long term, is going to be literally, if not the most, at the very least, like up there, like most tenacious, like and strong-willed, like tennis players ever, athletes of all time. I mean, the guy was injured so many times.
Yeah,
and he still ended up second all time in the records. He beat Federer, which is fascinating to think that, because it's like at the end of the day, like when he came up, it was him and Federer, and then Djokovic came about in 2010, 2011,
Yeah.
And then obviously Djokovic is going to end up as the greatest all time records-wise. But I think for Rafa, at the very least, he can go to sleep and be like, at least I beat the guy that was like my main rival, when I came into the game. I ended up with 22, he has 20, like it's
playing the complete opposite style of tennis that Federer played, because Federer was such a polished tennis player and a beautiful player to watch, and Rafa was just physical as hell. Just an absolute animal.
And that's, I told Jake, dude, you can watch this. And I rewatched this recently. I rewatched this twice over the last like year. And I rewatched it like the day he announced he was going to retire, which is, you can look up on YouTube. It's on YouTube. The full 2018 US Open quarterfinals between him and Dominic Thiem. Dominic Thiem also retired like 2 months ago, sadly. And for Thiem, it was injury that took him out, because Thiem is like 31. Poor Thiem, it was literally injury. And Andy Murray retired this year also at the Olympics.
I can't stand Andy Murray, so not really sad to see him go. But it's still sad.
Yeah, it's still sad, but I had the fortune of being able to watch both Thiem and Murray live, so I'm really happy about that. I sadly never got to watch Rafa live, which I'm very sad about that. Maybe he'll do like a exhibition, because he can still play. He's just like not up there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that 2018 US Open quarterfinals between him and Thiem, that match lasted 5 hours, 5 sets. Rafa won that match, but he was bageled in the first set, 6-0. So Thiem destroyed him in the first set, and then he ended up winning after 5 hours. And then he had to retire from the tournament because he got injured in that match, classic Rafa. But yeah, anybody who wants to fall in love with tennis, or anybody who wants to know why this was a great man or a great athlete, watch that match. That was the first tennis match I ever watched in my life. And it got me into tennis. And I stayed up all night just being like, what in the fuck am I, what is this? So yeah, man, those are our heroes though, right? Athletes and fictitious characters, and what can you do?
Yeah. Wait, what? That was in college that you got into tennis, right?
Yes, it was. It was in college.
I witnessed your introduction into tennis, didn't I?
Yeah, it was.
I remember that, dude. You'd be like, "Oh man, well, good night, man. I'm gonna be up at 3 a.m. watching this tennis match."
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, "Have fun with that. I'm gonna be up at 9."
Yeah, no, it was our second year. It was our second year of college, and it was because if you remember this, I was just like trying to figure out like stuff to do basically at night, because I just wanted to like be awake doing things. And I was like watching like this like little league baseball stuff, and I was like, oh, this is ass. It was basically like it was like the moment.
What are you, Herbert from Family Guy?
The only reason, because the thing about the little league baseball stuff was that those kids would cry, dude. And so that in itself was like interesting, because I was like, again, I was just kind of like I was like surfing through channels, and then I ended up like on the Little League thing, and those kids would like just randomly start crying. And so I found that like really hilarious. So I was like, okay, let me watch this.
Holy shit. Oh.
But then it was like, again, like I watched that for maybe like an hour, and I was like, I can't be watching like this. But that's how I ended up with tennis. Because at that point, when we were in college and Jake knows this, I was already watching like so many movies a day, where I was just like, I just want to be like at night. I was like, I don't want to be watching movies. I already do that for like I already write in the mornings. Go to classes, like watch movies endlessly. It's like I just want to kind of like veg out. So I just want to be on my phone and look at something on the television. And then I was awestruck by Little League baseball at like
10. Oh my god, my chest hurts, dude. Oh. There's nothing weird about that, dude. Well, I was watching Little League in my apartment.
Hey, man. You're in college.
Oh, it's so funny.
18, 19. There's nothing wrong about that. I'm an old man watching Little League. Watching teenagers play baseball.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
I know you're messing
I'm
with me.
giving you shit. we can bleep that part out, too, if you want.
No, dude, you can leave all that shit. But, yeah, dude. That's a journey of how somebody who hated sports their whole life then ends up watching a sport and then playing it. Because Jake knows this. Like, I don't watch football. I don't watch any of that shit, except for Little League baseball. But and I think for you, Jake, the sport that you enjoy is just basically just contact stuff, like UFC stuff, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I hated sports my whole life until and then WWE brought me around, dude. Monday Night Raw. That's real athletics. That's real. Those are real athletes right there. Now they are athletes, but it's just not real. No, yeah, pretty much contact sports, and even that, dude. Like, I'm like, like, okay, Jon Jones fought this past weekend. Did you guys see that?
I hear that. Yeah,
dude, you got to go check it out. He won by knockout. Yeah. It ends with a. So, dude, he fought a guy who also is like doubles as a fireman, which is kind of interesting because like that rapper that we were talking about, Ka or whatever, that died a few weeks ago.
He
passed away. He was a firefighter too. He was like the captain or something.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a very fascinating guy.
It's so funny how all these high profile guys also double as firefighters. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, they were I don't know if it was the last round or not, but I can't remember. But they were fighting, and then John had him kind of backed up against the cage, and then dude, he's like within elbowing distance of him. Or like, I don't know about elbow, but like hook distance from him, let's say. Mm-hmm. And he spins and delivers this spinning back kick to the guy's stomach. Again, within hook punch distance, like hook distance. Like not full leg extension distance. So literally he spins, his leg is at like a 90-degree angle by the time his foot contacts the guy. And dude, it sounded like someone dropped like a full pound, like a 10-pound turkey on the fucking on like the mat, dude. It just whop, and just drops the guy. I mean, it looked like the most painful fucking thing ever, dude.
Yeah, I just watched it. That looked brutal, and just like the contact on skin, sounded so loud. Holy shit!
It sounded like It sounded like Mark Henry, like 5-starring. So you know what it sounded like? It sounded like The Big Show when he did that, that huge slap to the chest or whatever. It sounded like that.
Quiet.
Yeah, it sounded like that. And then, dude, and then Jon Jones turns around and does the Trump dance, and it like cuts to Trump in the front row.
Really, he was there?
Yeah. And Donald Trump
That's
just like
hilarious.
gives him like a thumbs up with his little Trump face, like. But
It's funny because I think, I think he had said that like when he went on Rogan. I think he said that he was like gonna go watch the fight. He was like talking like fights and UFC stuff with Rogan, which is hilarious. Yeah, I guess he was there.
yeah.
But what dance? Like he was doing like that weird like little dance. That
Yeah, the little
Yep,
Trump, the
that
jacking off
dance.
2 penises dance that Trump does.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's pretty much contact sports for me, and like even that, I'm like barely like I couldn't name all the UFC champions to you. Like I know Jon Jones is the heavyweight champion. Like I follow certain fighters. Like this wine's got me burping. I was like I followed Brock Lesnar's career. I follow Jon Jones now. Like I follow certain fighters that I care about, but I'm not like constantly watching, like all the, the like mid card or the under, the lower card. Like I'm not, I'm following like certain fighters whose careers I care about for one reason or another. Even with contact sports, it's like barely. I don't know what it is with sports, man. I just can't like. I don't have like the discipline to keep up with them. I don't think.
Right.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but
I'd
rather sit down and watch Godzilla movies.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, because you know that with me, it's like I grew up in a country, the Dominican Republic, where it's like it was baseball was king.
Yeah,
Everybody was watching baseball all the time. Baseball was the biggest thing, and I was always like, I always felt so left out. Being like, oh my god, I can't, and it would put me to sleep, and I would be
it's
like, why can't I
torture,
relate
dude.
to this? Yeah, it is.
It is torture.
And
Like you go to a baseball game. I'm gonna let you finish. I was just gonna say real quick. You go to a baseball game and you're like, "Oh, this is nice. Like, it's so nostalgic." You're like, "Oh, I get a hot
it's so
dog,
boring.
some peanuts," and then by the 8th inning, you're just like, "God damn, get me the fuck out of here."
It's so boring. And I've been to
No,
so
but continue,
many
sorry.
of those. I've been to like dozens of baseball games because of just like how accessible it was when I was growing up. And at some point, my cousin just had free passes because he wasn't a part of like the baseball team. So it was just like, oh god, it was just the most boring bullshit ever. And I was just like, oh, I guess sports are just not for me. And then it's just random, I guess like it's just random how stuff happens in life, and then you kind of develop certain interests, and that's how I guess that's how you become an old man. You're like, oh, now I'm old and I like sports.
Yeah,
So when I was a teenager, I would have never thought that.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, I guess everybody has their journey. I think some people like never really get into sports. I really always thought myself as being somebody that would never get into sports, and I just found one. And it's fascinating because there's just so many sports. And I guess it really is just like having an open mind. Like for instance, like you also like practicing martial arts, so you also have that inherent connection to martial arts as a sport.
Yeah.
I think it really is just like finding like what you like doing. Like I'm really competitive and I just like to win all the time. So it's like, I don't like being part of teams. So then it
We're
makes
gonna
sense to
win.
me.
We're gonna win.
Yeah.
And hence why I played tennis for a
Exactly.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You did.
Because then it just kind of, those kind of sports where you're just on your own. It's just you against another guy, and it's really just about your own skill and pushing yourself as hard as you can. Like I understood then, and I was like, oh, I like this. Like I can gravitate to this. And then rooting for one guy, it's like I can root for a guy. But also the sport has to be kinetic. Because even that being said, I can't watch golf. I'm not going to sit down and watch golf. What kind of person is that? If one of you guys is that person, I'm sorry. I know Jake is that.
No.
But
I like
I
it.
don't
I like
watch
putting golf in the
golf
background.
often,
No, you
but
play it. You play it.
I
Right?
play it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
probably need
there's
to
a
watch some
difference.
more.
Yeah,
I probably need to watch a little bit more to know what's going on in the golf world. But
that's the thing though, because it's just like for me with sports, it's like it has to be an individual sport. I'm not much of a fan of martial arts, so that's why I don't really watch them very much. Um, but it can't be a team sport where it's just like a jersey that people wear. There's different dudes in there. That's what I never got about like American football. It's like who cares? Like one day fucking McCaffrey's on the team and now he's not. Who are you a fan of? That guy or the fucking like team? Like who cares? But it's like with tennis, at least it's like a very kind of like kinetic, like high intensity sport, and you can be like, I like these guys. I'm gonna watch their matches. So there's something fascinating about that, but then there's something sad, especially for me, that I got into tennis over the past 5-6 years, of, I guess, in this theme of our old heroes, of these guys getting old, man, and then being like, oh shit, I didn't get the opportunity to actually watch these guys into prime. For Rafa, I started watching Rafa in 2018, and he had 3 years after that. Because then after 22 happened, he was never the same. He got injured midway to 2022, and then now at 2024 he's retired. And then this year I just had to watch him lose to everybody. And then until he made the realization of being like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this anymore because I'm just losing to everybody, and then just retiring. It's sad, man, how this shit kind of goes.
Especially in the early 2010s time frame where you have, Roger, Djokovic, and Nadal, and any one of them could win any tournament at any given time. I have a hard time thinking tennis is going to be the same without those three for a while. I mean, there's definitely some great players out there who probably will have really good careers, but then it's hard to avoid. Also, if they're that successful too, to it's always going to be that Jordan LeBron thing where it's oh well, it's going to come back to Djokovic was playing against Rafa and
Nadal.
So and Nadal, and he had to compete against a lot of talent to make, and he still was sweeping the floor with them. So it's
Right. And so, you're saying, that's going to become, the metric, because then, again, it's with Jordan, and it's oh, well, Jordan had all those guys. At that point in time with basketball, basketball was basically a contact sport. All those guys were just, elbowing and pushing each other and tackling people, and now it's not, And it's just, it's always a fair argument, isn't it? It's competition. And it's you're saying, even with the guys that are up there now, with the old guys leaving and the new guys coming up, it's well, none of these new guys are Roger Federer or Djokovic or Nadal. And it's just even if they get accolades, it's that doesn't equal the field, It's such a strange topic, isn't it? But so is sport, isn't it? Just that, do they have somebody that can challenge them? I mean, for Jon Jones, I feel nobody's challenged that guy.
Yeah,
he just keeps beating people up.
Yeah, what's interesting though, I'm glad you brought that up because I just remembered it when you said that. He, at the press conference after the fight, he actually went on record and said that he's not interested in fighting the dangerous up and comers now, the younger guys. I don't know. I mean, how and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember how old Jon Jones is, but he's not that old. He's still pretty young.
He's 30s, I think.
Yeah, 37. So he's getting up there to where you're, in athletes is athletes are dog years almost, where it's
that's the thing, because Nadal's 38 and now he's retired.
Yeah, it's once you hit your 40, you're an old man or whatever,
Have to be taken out to pasture.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, because if you think about Mike Tyson, everybody was saying, oh, we just watched a guy beat up a senior citizen, and it's he's 58.
He is.
That's young, relatively. It's middle aged.
But for a boxer.
But for a boxer, right? It's it really is dog years. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Jon Jones, I couldn't tell what the context well, the context was there, but I couldn't tell what he meant by that, because on one hand, because he basically what he said was, I'm not interested in fighting young and up, the young dangerous up and comers. I'm interested in fighting the established people that have a shot at my belt. So that could be interpreted.
Those guys are not going to beat you though. Those are not the guys that are going to beat him. Those are the guys that he's been beating.
Right. So it can be interpreted in two different ways. It could be interpreted in a way of hey, get to the back of the line, young buck. Or it can be interpreted in probably the way most people are interpreting it and how you're saying it, which is I know I can beat these, guys who are around my age, but I don't know about these killers, these clubber langs that are coming in.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing. Exactly. Exactly. Because that's the thing, isn't it? It's you don't want to give those guys a shot. It's if you want a shot at me, earn it.
Yeah.
Make yourself be the guy that needs to be at me, and by that point, you're probably gonna get burnt out because you're gonna have to go through 20 dudes.
Yeah.
But then the thing is that. I feel with age, maybe that's where Jon Jones is right now. you get to a point in time where you understand that there's people at the other side of the coin that are you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like then you start seeing yourself in people and being like, oh my God, you know, because he was the
Yeah.
guy. He was that guy, you know, and then for him
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, now I'm the guy that people are going to kick my ass. And
Yes.
eventually somebody is going to kick my ass. And that somebody has a higher likelihood of being a young guy like I was back then than an old dude or one of the established dudes that I already know who they are. And they're,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a interesting train of thought, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know,
We'll go
aging.
exactly. We'll go back. It's like you just said. I mean, go back 13 years. Jon Jones had just become champion. I believe his first title defense was Rampage Jackson.
Yeah.
It's like Jon Jones, he was the defender, but he was the defending champion, but you know, he was the young up and comer. And he said before the fight he was having nightmares about Rampage Jackson. Like he was terrified of Rampage. And then he beat his ass. Because Rampage was the legend at the time. It was Rampage Jackson. This is the guy who went over to Pride Fighting Championships in Japan and power bombed a guy. Fucking power bombed a dude.
Yeah.
And as he power bombed him, sank a headbutt in to finish off the power bomb. Like Rampage Jackson, the legend. Like when I was a kid, that's who I knew was Rampage Jackson. Like even before I even watched UFC, I was like, oh, I know who Rampage is. But and Jon Jones dethroned him. So you're right. It's like Jon Jones is now Rampage.
Exactly.
With he's got a way bigger legacy than Rampage does. But
for sure.
But
that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Time waits for no one.
Right.
You know? Time waits for nobody. You know, and at some point, it's like, regardless of how great you are, like at your peak of your powers, there's always somebody who's going to be better. And even if they're not better than you at your peak, they're better than you now. You know, so it's about timing.
Yeah. Yep.
And some dudes slip. Some dudes just are able to slip away from time, like Mayweather, and go like 50-0 or something, and then be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, but then you have to know when you're done too. You have to know when to call it quits.
No, I agreed, dude. And it's like good on honestly, people were giving Jon Jones shit for that, but it's like, guys, good on him for protecting his legacy. Like he don't you understand? You're criticizing Mike Tyson for coming back and fighting a goofball like Jake Paul. Jon Jones is saying, like, I don't want to be anything close to that. Like I want to I know when my time is up. You know?
And right now he's clean, like in the sense of like right now he's like, from my understanding, he's considered like to be the GOAT, you know.
Yes.
So it's just like I bet he wants to keep that. He's like, I want to keep being the GOAT. You know, I don't want to be someone to kick my ass.
Yeah, he's for all intents and purposes undefeated. He lost one fight via disqualification, and it was on the Ultimate Fighter reality television series. It was an officially sanctioned match, part of his record, but literally, like for all intents and purposes, he is undefeated. So yeah, I kind of
cocaine or something.
What'd you say?
Oh no. Because of cocaine?
No, it was an actual disqualification during the match. Like I don't know, I don't remember what he did to get disqualified. It might have been like a shot to the back of the head, or
he did the 5-knuckle shuffle, didn't he?
Right, something. No, like actually something like it was probably like. Let me look this up. Why did Jon Jones get disqualified? It's going to drive me crazy now. It was probably a 12-6 elbow, maybe. Why did Jon Jones?
But also, didn't he get DQ'd for like having banned substances for another fight as well?
That he was stripped of the title. Yeah, he didn't get.
Yeah, it wasn't on his record or anything, but.
Yep, I was right for throwing illegal 12-6 elbows.
Okay,
that's where you like basically it's like pulling a.
You're hammering a guy with your elbow.
Yeah, it's like for anyone who can't see me. Drop. Yeah, for anyone who can't see me, it's like
people's elbow.
Imagine you're pulling on a truck horn. Like that, you know, like it's like that. Like you're bringing that's illegal in UFC. So, which is interesting because he got a point taken off or something like that for doing that in another fight, but he didn't get disqualified. But I guess that ref was more of a stickler. But anyway, I'm glad I at least got a Rocky III movie reference in there because this has become sports tangents. But
I know, right? This whole episode, 50 minutes of this episode have been sports.
Yeah, we pulled a Bill Burr, dude, just spending the first half of the podcast talking about sports. But don't worry, guys, we're going to start the movie soon, and then we'll just talk about, you know,
sports while we watch
movies
the movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about. Whoa, Kevin McAllister with a home run, fucking booby trap on Harry and Marv. Anything else you guys? What other topics you guys want to get into before we start the movie, if anything?
I mean, I feel like we can always go over random shit when we watch the movie.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
to get it going.
Exactly.
Oh, hi there. I'm Kenneth Carrington, executive producer of Film Tangents. Thank you for joining us for the 2024 Christmas special. This program wouldn't be possible without you, the listener. And so, as a token of our gratitude, we here at Film Tangents would like to answer some of the questions you've sent in. The following question was sent in by Denise from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Denise writes, quote, "Hi there, Film Tangents. I just want to say that as a lifelong movie buff, I'm a huge fan of your show and it gets me through the more meh work days. Thank you for all that you do. So, I am a youth group leader at my church and I'm hosting a youth group Christmas party in a couple weeks. I was wondering if you could recommend a good Christmas movie for the kids. Thanks in advance." Thank you for your question, Denise. For your youth group Christmas party, we at Film Tangents recommend the brand new holiday film Terrifier 3. The story concerns a friendly clown named Art, who discovers the true meaning of giving as he teams up with a group of unlikely friends to save a small town's holiday celebrations. Full of laughter, warmth, and holiday charm, this unexpected Christmas story will remind viewers of all ages that sometimes even the most unlikely characters can bring a little joy to the world. The hosts of Film Tangents have assured me that Terrifier 3 is the perfect pick for your youth group Christmas party. Well, that's all the time we've got for questions today. If you'd like to send in a question, please email us at iheartthecriticaldrinker@gmail.com and we'll be sure to answer it. Happy holidays!
And
Yeah,
on
sorry,
go, you can hit play. No, on go, motherfucker.
Okay.
All right.
One.
So let me know when you guys are ready for me to count.
I'm ready. I got it queued up.
I'm good.
Good. Okay. All right. Here we go. 5,
Wait,
4.
on one, right?
God damn it, dude!
You're such a troll.
You little bitch, dude. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and everybody, the movie's starting. I'm gonna have a timestamp in the description just in case.
The movie started like. Actually, just go ahead because there's probably gonna be some shit that's gonna get cut out anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was definitely like no real transition into the movie starting. So obviously, I'll have a timestamp. So if you're here and you're like, "Oh my god, the movie's starting," just go look in the description. There's gonna be a timestamp, but we should have the credits rolling right now. You see the moon, Joe Pesci's name, Daniel Stern. And this is Home Alone, everybody. Probably my favorite Christmas movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be the best, dude. It's a classic. It's a perfect movie too. You know, like I always loved like just the idea of him being left home alone to his own devices, but then you also have the element of the robbers in there. And he's got to set booby traps. Like it's just such a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. People praise like Christmas Story. I've never seen Christmas Story. I've seen the play like a long time ago, so I know what it's about. It's like some kid who wants a BB gun. But I don't know. I haven't seen it, and I'm like, I doubt it's better than Home Alone, man. Come on.
What is this? What's the other one talking about?
A Christmas Story.
Oh, a Christmas Story. I haven't seen that.
Did you see that?
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. I didn't think it was better than Home Alone personally, but
Hell no.
it's still pretty good.
Okay.
The perfect star with Joe Pesci. Just want to get one of those kids to pay attention to him.
Yeah. It's like for some reason there's a cop. There's a cop standing in the foyer and nobody's paying attention that there's a police officer. It's like, hey, Joe Pesci, maybe it's because you look like you're dressed up like one and not an actual cop.
Rent a cop.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the presence. He doesn't have like the authority. They can see through him. So this guy's some phony.
No. That's so funny. He's lucky the McAllisters aren't like, you know, hardcore libertarians or something where they're just like, "What's your badge number, sir?" You know,
Gonna contact
recording
him.
with their phone out.
yeah,
What's your name and badge number? I've been
Yeah.
seeing these videos on TikTok where this guy goes up to cops and he goes, "What's your name and badge number?" And the guy will give it to him and he says, "Good boy."
Oh,
Yeah.
God damn! What is it? And the cops can't really do anything.
They can't do anything.
No.
What can they do?
No.
They just are like kind of just standoffish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just like,
Oof. Yeah, you got to be careful. I'm careful with cops because there's a fine line I think between like knowing your rights versus testing the ones that might not play so well,
Right.
that might violate your rights anyway. Because you never know. It's like even if you're within your rights, it's like if a cop starts, beating you up, it's like, well, I can sue him later, but I'm also gonna have like a busted face. And I can't defend myself against a cop.
Yeah, you still have to pay the consequences, don't you?
Yeah.
They have a handful of those like little zooms in on what's
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin, yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
dick, look like Macaulay Culkin. My dick bigger than a bridge.
Bigger than a
Yo,
bridge.
dick, look like a little
Looks
kid.
like a little
My
kid's.
dick.
Yeah.
We're showing on double feature screen. Yo, dick went straight to
Went straight
DVD.
to DVD. For those listening, I apologize for that.
Yeah, what does he rhyme with Macaulay Culkin? What was that? He says that at one point in the song, which is hilarious. By the way,
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Let me
And
see.
then the random chorus where they go like, "We have dicks like Jesus."
Oh yeah. P.S. We got dicks
We got
like
dicks
Jesus. People were rapping that like crazy when I was in middle
dude,
school
that was
and
the
stuff.
anthem.
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin. Let's see. Where was that?
That was the anthem. And then it shows up in Harold and Kumar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, my dick size of a pumpkin. Your dick look like Macaulay Culkin. That is so stupid. Size of a pumpkin. That's so dumb. But that's what makes that song great, dude. It's just stupid.
It's so random. Yeah, it's
so
stupid.
Speaking of stupid, Jack and I saw Venom 3 in theaters last week.
Venom.
Yeah,
Are they still using that song for the?
No.
They should. They should put that like at the end of every single movie. Like when every single Venom movie ends, it should end with Eminem's Venom. Like
Nah, they haven't used it again.
like when the movie's like ending and the main character says like some line like
Yep.
It'll be great next time, and then they're just kind of like zooming out or like panning out, and then just like, oh, the movie's ending, and you just go like Venom. Every single one of those movies should end like that.
Yeah.
The first one ended like that. The first one had it like at the end as the ending.
Yeah. He's like, what do you want to do? And Venom's like, we can do whatever we want. Venom.
They should have done that for every one of them. Dude.
Yeah.
That's the greatest song ever made.
What'd you think about Venom 3, Jack? I know we talked about it, but why don't you, the audience doesn't know.
General consensus was, it started off well.
Yeah, the first half was good, dude.
It was good. Kind of similar to Let's Be Carnage a little bit in the fact that like there was I kind of felt like a little bit of a sense of, there's just like a lot of non-really story related stuff going on, but it was done well enough to the fact where I didn't feel like that really took away from it. I was really just kind of enjoying the movie. And then kind of like we talked about getting into just like, playing into like the Venom humor, like Deadpool type humor, trying to make people laugh and make Venom come out and be all goofy and these, dancing with that lady, and there were some plot holes there as far as like him being tracked by Null, and that he couldn't turn into full Venom, or else like these creatures were kind of like seeking him out. Well, he transforms a couple times for really no reason after he figures out like they're after him.
Yeah, for no
So,
reason. Yeah, just to
yeah,
be
so that
goofy. It was like, why would you do that, dude?
yeah, some serious plot holes there. Um, and then really what it boiled down to was like the main villain was an imminent threat throughout the movie, but was never shown, like was never like part of, like never fought, Venom. He was always just like, oh, if shit hits the fan, then he'll show up. But like it never got to that point.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was lacking like a true villain, where it's like the whole movie they're getting chased around by like this like minion of the villain who's just like this creature. I don't know. I thought
Yeah.
some of the cool things though were like there's a scene where they're going down the rapids and like Eddie Brock and Venom get separated because they have like these sound weapons, and Venom's like trying to catch up to Eddie as he's like grappling with like these agents,
That was a
and
good
like
scene.
he like parasitizes like a fish to like, and then like starts swimming as the fish, and then takes over like a frog and is like hopping across the river. I thought that was kind of cool to see him like kind of in different forms and like taking over. Like I didn't even know like if he could take over like animals like before that, and then he fused with like a horse at one point. So I mean, it was kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then kind of the main kind of climax where you get to see a bunch of symbiotes fighting against that one creature was kind of cool to see like different Venom forms, but I don't know, it wasn't really rewarding in any way.
Well, I have heard rumors, and I guess you guys have seen this movie, so you guys are the perfect people to confirm whether or not this is true.
Yeah.
But I have heard this rumor that this movie ties into the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3.
Not that I can think of. Maybe
Mm.
there might have been an end credit. You know what? I didn't look up what the post-credit sequence was because we left when the
Yeah,
credits
we
start
did
rolling.
leave.
I always forget these movies have post-credit sequences. So maybe probably the post-credit sequence. Let me look up what that was. Venom. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same
Oh, that's the little
wavelength
brother.
as you.
The little brother has been like more successful than Macaulay Culkin these days at like being in things. Isn't that show
Yeah.
Succession?
Yeah. He's in Fargo as well. Oh, this is great, dude. Kevin beats Buzz's ass. Oh shit, dude. Yeah, and then everyone he trashes the kitchen, and then they blame Kevin.
Yeah, but it's like it was everyone's fault. Like the dad was the one who threw the soda on the old Pete.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. In a post-credit scene, a panicked bartender escapes the burned remains of Area 51 as a black cockroach crawls out of the rubble next to a broken vial that previously contained a sample of the Venom symbiote. So that doesn't. I don't see how that. Yeah, that doesn't tie into the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I'll say this: if it did tie in, it was some Easter egg that I didn't see. So there was some, like.
So Venom survived, long story short, in the post-credit scene.
I guess, yeah. Of course
Allegedly.
he did. Yeah, of course he did. I mean, it's like
On a cockroach.
Yeah. It's like you can't even spoil these movies anymore. It's like, guys, you all know, like whatever the money maker is,
movies,
they're gonna bring it back. So who even gives a shit? It's like you can't even spoil these things.
At this point, these movies are like an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
An episode of a sitcom.
Yeah.
Where it's just like at the end, nothing really happened. It's just back to status quo.
Yep.
And that's what's depressing, because it's like I feel like it ultimately just feels like the last one of these. Like the last movie where things felt in any way whatsoever consequential in this kind of large scale superhero stuff. It ultimately feels like it was just like I don't know, like Infinity War Part 1 or just Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Stark dying, basically.
Yeah, and then it just feels like for a year the movie was like okay, And then after that, it's just everything just reverses everything. Now Downey's the new Doctor Doom, and it's like why are we doing this? It's like why like I don't know, man. It's like why do we have to we can't treat films like TV shows. Like there's no return to status quo. And you would wish that people would respect these kind of things and that, you know, creators wouldn't have to kill their own characters at the end of shows. I'm not going to go into detail about anything. Obviously, this is a commentary for Home Alone. Nobody wants to hear spoilers on specific shows, but
Yeah.
you know, in a lot of shows, it feels like the creator just goes like, I have to kill my main character because if I don't kill my main character, somebody's going to go ham. You know.
Yeah. Here's Kevin alone in the attic. He's gonna get pissed on later by his little cousin, who's really his brother in real life.
Yeah, this is brother in real life. What is so? One of you boys explain this to me. What is the family dynamic here? Like, who is whose brother? Who's whose kid? Who's anything?
So
Because the only thing that I know is that Kevin is the son of Catherine O'Hara and the dad, and I don't know who's related to who in what way, shape, or form.
yeah, the guy he attacked in the kitchen is his brother, his older brother.
So that's his older brother,
Yeah.
the big boy.
You've seen this before, haven't you, Edward?
I have, but
Okay,
dude, every
I was-
time that
I was
I've
making
seen this
sure.
movie, dude, I've seen this movie like 20 times.
Yeah, I have
and
too.
the second
Yeah,
one I've seen like 40 times.
yeah,
And every time I see this movie, I have no idea who it's related to who.
yeah. And then some of those gingers are like his brothers, his brother and sister respectively. And then like I think one of the other girls, like the brunette girl, is his sister, and then everybody else is just like a bunch of cousins.
So the kid that literally looks exactly like him is his cousin.
Yeah, exactly. That's his
hilarious.
cousin.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the big boy that Saul Goodman ripped off in Better Call Saul is his brother. Yeah, dude,
It's
Jack,
interesting.
the older brother Buzz, the actor, was in Better Call Saul. He's like like Saul scams him at one point. You remember that,
Did he
Edward?
really?
That's awesome.
It was
Oh,
he was the
wow.
first, like when he was running the identity theft scam.
Yeah.
It was like the first guy that they did it on, the identity
I
theft
didn't
scam
put it
on.
together.
Yeah, yeah. He was great in that role too. He played a douchebag, like a rich douchebag, really well in that show.
Yeah, it was him. Oh my God, it's like just clicking on me. I didn't connect that. I don't know if I don't know if you mentioned it, like when we did like those like episode to episode kind of commentaries that we were doing when we were watching the show. But yeah, I just connected that in my head.
Yeah. This guy tells this kid to fuck off. Kid, I don't know, hit the road. I would love to say that's people who just like, strangers who are just chatty Cathys and chatting you up. Just, gee, I don't know, hit the road.
Hit the
I
road.
did that. I kind of was an asshole to somebody the other day at the grocery store.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah. Well, I was like going there and then like, walking in the front door and this guy just kind of was like talking to himself outside. And he didn't look like homeless or anything, but I was just like, I don't know if I'm like fucking with this guy. Like he just kind of seemed off.
Yeah.
And then he's like asked me, he was like, "Oh, can I ask you a question real quick?" And I was like, sorry, I'm in a rush. Like I gotta go.
Hell yeah.
I just left. I was like, my bad, dude.
I've
It
pulled
was
some of
like-
those. before.
Then,
Yeah.
then I was walking away, and he was like, "Where do you have to go?" And I was like,
Oh, he challenged your ass, dude.
I just kept walking. I was like, all right.
Yeah, we had a lot of
Yeah.
aggressive homeless people in Winston-Salem. Remember that, Edward?
Yeah.
We had like when we were I remember Edward and I were bar hopping and you did that, Edward. The guy came up, he's like, I have a question, and you just you did the like cut it sign to him,
Yeah.
like over your throat, like
Oh,
just cut
God.
it. that was
It's like,
beautiful.
Not happening.
I was like, we're not in the business for this right now. It's
Well,
the
we
middle
got
of the night.
Winston-Salem, you got mobbed by people in Winston-Salem, man. You would get mobbed going out there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
an
I don't know- I don't
intense
know-
city.
Yeah, I don't know what is up with that city that there was like such high volume, like, and it's unfortunate, because you never want to see anything like that. You know?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what about that city specifically, about that area of North Carolina, but there was like a high intensity of like homelessness, and again, just very unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know, man. That stuff is an issue, and it always pisses me off too. Like when anything that a city does to prevent homeless people from being able to exist. It always pisses me off because I don't know if you guys know that it's like anytime they see a bench and the bench has like a
the
divider
bar
in the middle and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
so they
usually
can't
that's what
sleep
people-
there.
homeless people won't sleep on it, and it's just like, well, instead of doing this, like, why don't you fix this? Like, fix this. You know,
Well, that's what that South Park episode is about when they like boombox to them. I was gonna make that joke before. I was gonna be like, so the reason Winston-Salem had so many is because they boombox Winston-Salem is good to the homeless. Winston-Salem.
And then they like drive them all to California.
Yeah. California. But that's why South Park is brilliant, because they like that episode was brilliant because it's like no one wants to deal with this. They just want them to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the problem, the reason for that is because there's no profit in actually fixing the problem. It's just like you can't. There's no way to profit off of a homeless person.
That is truly just like a humanitarian thing.
Yeah.
You know, it is ultimately just a humanitarian thing.
Mhm.
It's like it's either done or it's not. But like you said, there's no way. You know, or at least they haven't figured out. They haven't schemed a way of profiting off of it. Right now, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just basically like, oh, screw you. You know, let's put fucking dividers on benches, and let's put like what is it?
So they put like spikes. Yeah.
Yeah, let's put spikes underneath them so they can't sleep on them or beneath them. And it's like, oh my god, like what is going on?
Yeah, what city did we see that in? Was I with you when we saw that, or was that New? I don't think that was in New York that I saw that.
I've seen it.
There was a city I was in where I saw that, and I was like, "Damn!"
It's terrible.
Because that's what you do with like birds. You put like spikes on top of posts so birds don't nest on them. It's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I wonder, and this is all speculation, but I wonder if, like, you know, because a lot of nonprofits are very niche, where it's like, oh, this is like for, you know, children who had to sit through Chicken Little or something. You know, it's like, it's like nonprofits that are very specific. Like, this is for this cause, but like homelessness is so widespread and such a generalized thing, and there's all kinds of things that contribute to it, like drug use and you know the housing market, like whatever it is, and so it just seems like maybe it's such a widespread issue that there's so many not. It's like a bigger. I mean, even that you could even say though, even like these niche nonprofits, they can only really do so much. Like these problems are always going to really, you know, always exist until.
And then that's the thing, you know, because it's like most things, especially like stuff like that, you know, nonprofits and foundations and humanitarian causes are usually like for the most part always like there to address like needs and issues with usually children, you know. And I mean, obviously that's kind of the way it should be. That should always that should always be the thing that takes priority. But then, you know, it almost feels like people didn't just forsake everybody else. You know, so there's adults too that, you know. Yeah. So it's rough, right? We don't live in a utopic society. We just live in a society.
We live in a society.
Like the Joker meme. Have you guys seen or made an attempt to see the second one of those?
No.
No.
And I'm not going to, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not that. There's nothing. I keep forgetting it even exists. There's already clips of it out on YouTube that have like the movie had been out for like 2 weeks. The second Joker movie. And they already had like full length clips on YouTube. By the way, that spoiled it for me, which I didn't even care. I'm so over comic book movies at this point. Like, I mean, like it's always fun to go see them with a friend or something, but literally outside of seeing like these comic book movies with friends, like, you know, Jack and I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. We went to see Venom 3 in theaters. If it's not with a friend, I'm not even going to watch them.
Oh, it would have been terrible to go see that by yourself.
Or when they come out on video, it's like, dude, I had never seen Venom Let There Be Carnage until Jack and I decided to watch it a couple weeks ago before we went to see 3. It's literally like comic book movies. It's with a group. It's like a group thing or a friend thing at this point. Other than that, I have no motivation to see them.
Because it's funny then, because then you imagine yourself having to engage seriously with Ben Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
If you're by yourself. Like if you're just watching it by yourself, you're literally just watching the movie on your own time, and like nobody's there to crack jokes at it with you.
Yeah, drowning in your sorrows, watching Venom. Let there be carnage.
Exactly. But if it's like you and your
That would
friend,
have been really
then at least you
depressing
guys
to
can
watch.
like, at least just the activity of cracking jokes
Yeah.
together makes it like worth it. At least you're like, oh, at least I got to like bond and create some like jokes at the expenses of this movie.
Oh, 100%.
But if
Yeah.
it's just you, man.
Yeah, like you and me. We watched, when we were hanging out, we watched the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, we did.
Again,
watch
it's like a
Suicide
3-4-year-old movie, but
Yeah.
when you're with a friend or with a group of people, that's like comic book movies are kind of the way to go, actually. Because kind of on the flip side, there's like some movies that like a lot of movies are just great, but it's like I wouldn't really watch them with a group.
Oh, dude,
Like
he
one of my
found
favorite
Playboy
movies of all.
magazine.
What'd you say?
The Playboy magazine.
Oh yeah, this is when he goes through all his brother's shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't he see? He sees a picture of. Did he already see the picture of Buzz's girlfriend?
He went through his like Playboy magazine. So you shouldn't touch that, Kevin. There's gonna be pages glued together in there.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Dude, I remember when I was like 8 or 9 and watching this, and I saw that scene. I was like, "Who was that a picture of, and how did she feel about that scene?"
Yeah, right. It was an actual little girl.
And then you grow up and realize that, like, people just accept these things and go bitch on Reddit about it, about being ugly or having a small wang. But yeah, I was gonna say on the flip side, there's a lot of great movies. Like some of my favorite movies, it's like not really a group movie. It's like maybe with one other person, but like if I'm with a group of people, we're all like, eating like wings or something. First of all, we're probably
Nobody's
not
gonna pay
even,
attention.
yeah, first of all, we're not even watching a movie probably to begin with. But if we are, it ain't gonna be Shawshank Redemption or
It's like,
Whiplash or Funny
gather
Games.
up. Yeah, everybody gather up. We're gonna watch. We're gonna watch No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the moments when you put on Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, or some
Exactly.
shit. Yeah,
just some slosh, like just some like bullshit.
yeah. This is the great fake movie that they made for Home Alone right here. The fake mobster movie. This actually doesn't exist.
It's a nice little trivia.
Yeah, Angels with Filthy Souls. When I was a kid, I always thought this was just some old movie that he was watching, but they actually made it for this movie. Like they made.
Yeah, this is true. Until you said that, I didn't know that. It's interesting though how this movie, how the second movie just kind of references this one by doing this stuff again.
Yeah. There he goes, dude. That Tommy gun.
Jeez.
Keep the change.
You filthy animal.
There's the classic line, dude.
Man,
So
I have to
classic.
say, it took his mom like way too long to realize that he wasn't there.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you got a kid that's that shitty and annoying, your subconscious is
You're, like,
probably just glad
glad
that
that
he's gone. Yeah, and then you're like, wait a second. Oh.
And then she like turns this around and has to like drive. And isn't she like with like John Candy like on the way back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here she still doesn't know it. She's like, did I turn off the coffee? Did we leave
And
the
the dad
TV
is so
on? Did we leave the
because
stove?
the dad doesn't realize. The dad is like, no, I turned off the coffee.
Right,
Don't
yeah, the
worry."
dad doesn't realize either, dude. Isn't that
So he
insane?
doesn't
That is
have
like-
a clue.
No one
The dad
realizes
is like,
it.
stop talking. The dad is just like, stop talking to me. Everything's cool.
Well, the dad's probably like, fuck, this is like the one part of my year that might have been good. Because I have this
Kevin
shitty,
ruined it.
all these shitty kids, Kevin being the worst. Yeah, there it goes, Kevin!
Kevin. But that's the thing though. It's like I feel like the dad was literally looking at her, being like, "Can you please not ruin this for me?"
Right,
Like,
yeah. He probably already knew
he-
Kevin was
like-
was left behind.
It was like he
Potentially.
was- yeah, probably. But he said it's like Kevin will be fine. There's like a week's worth of food in that.
He made an extra trip to the grocery store just to make sure he'd have food.
Yeah, he's like hoping that the mom never notices the whole time until they're on the way back. And he's like, and if I'm really lucky, when we get back, Kevin will be dead.
If it was up to Kevin, he would have done it. Kevin is doing some recklessness.
I love the uncle right here. He's like, he doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit, dude.
He just wants to get on with the vacation.
That's the thing. The mom is the only one that is like, this is terrible. You know, she's the only one that turns around. She's the only one that goes like, I have to go back to my son. But the dad, when she was like asking if she forgot things, the dad was just looking at her like, could you please not do this right now?
Yeah.
And everybody else is just kind of like, oh, you know, it's whatever. You know, it's so good.
Yeah.
Little they know Kevin is like going to be like Kevin. People are gonna rob their house. They're gonna try to kill Kevin. It was in the utmost danger. Dude, for all we know, if we had access to like a previous like scene from this movie, the dad paid Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna go on this.
He's like, hey, and when you rob the place, also kill Kevin.
It's like with the, you know how we watch that movie Oddity, where the guy says to the it's like, don't hurt her, you know, so just make it quick. Where the dad is like, oh, please hurt him.
Yeah, the dad's like, make him suffer.
But she's like, you know, we don't really have to kill the youth, you know, we don't have to kill that youth. And he's like, no, kill him, please kill him.
He has like a torture rack in the basement ready to go with like a car battery, jumper cables just like lined up just so they could use it.
Oh, holy shit.
I'm gonna leave the doors unlocked. I'm gonna leave the key behind the bush. Just go in there, take anything that you want, anything, and kill him.
You're rotter, Mr. Grinch. Dude, that Dr. Seuss, that Chuck Jones Grinch cartoon slaps.
The Grinch is up there for me, man. I'm not gonna lie, that's one of my top Christmas movies of all time.
You talking about the Jim Carrey one or the cartoon?
The cartoon.
Dude, it's so beautiful. Like, if you watch that shit, the colors, the animation, it's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I love
cartoon
that
makes
thing.
Me feel like being a kid again and being excited about Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. I didn't know we shared that. Yeah, especially nowadays, because like when we were kids, they had it on like VHS or whatever. Now you have that freaking restored version where all the colors just pop, man. Chuck Jones was a genius, dude, of animation. Like, he made all the Looney Tunes cartoons. He did that Tom and Jerry cartoon where Tom looks like the Grinch, basically. He did that Ricky Tikki Tavi cartoon or whatever. Like, that guy was the man. Genius of animation.
They're going like straight away for that door. It's like they knew. It's like, oh, the dad told me the back door, the door to the side of the house.
Yeah.
It's gonna be unlocked.
He like goes back to the truck. He's like, oh wait, you know what? The dad told me that actually the kid was going to be here and that we should kill him. So
I forgot my Glock in the van.
Yeah. I remember in the second one, Harry actually does have like a revolver or something, and he points it at Kevin at the end, and he's literally about to kill him before the pigeon lady stops him. Yeah.
Is that what happens at the end of that?
Yeah, dude. The second Home Alone is basically a remake of the first Home Alone, except he's in New York instead of Home Alone, and everything's like way more violent. Like the fake fake mafia movie
breaks at them from like a 5-story building.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the fake mafia movie that they make is more violent. The traps are more violent. In fact, my family and I, whenever we watch Home Alone 2, we literally do a death count where we're like, how many times do Marv and Harry die in this in this sequence? Yeah. And then at the end, Harry's like literally about to shoot Kevin, and then the homeless pigeon lady shows up to save Kevin, and it's like, holy shit, you're about to shoot Kevin.
Kevin is, I guess, like I remember how the movie ends. I didn't remember him like pointing a gun at him though. That I deleted that from my head. Kevin is like, have you ever seen The Omen?
No, I actually haven't seen The Omen.
Like the Omen is basically about this woman who has this kid, and the kid is basically just the devil.
Yeah, yeah, Damien.
Yeah, Kevin is Damien, dude. Kevin is the devil.
Yeah.
And Joe
To
Pesci,
those
he just
guys,
happened.
definitely.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci just happens to realize that in the second movie, he's like, this kid needs to die. He's evil. He needs to be put down. And if you think about it, though, like with the shit that he gets away with in the second movie, you would think that he is like the devil.
Yeah. I know, dude. He like electrocutes Marv with like 10,000 volts or something. He like throws bricks at them from 10 stories up.
Yeah.
What else does he do? Dude, I remember like at one point Harry sticks his head in the toilet to get fire off his head, but the toilet's filled with gasoline, so there's just an explosion.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. This is the guy from Breaking Bad. The guy who runs the junkyard. The donut eating cop. Did you say Sergeant Balzac?
That's what it sounded like.
Balzac, yeah, dude.
I'm really liking this. I'm really loving.
It's Harry Balzac.
I'm really loving this idea that the dad sent the robbers.
Oh, I'm with it. That's what I believe now. That's part of my narrative for this movie.
You know, this actually works as headcanon. This is how you do it, right? You can make it work as headcanon. So, like, the dad sent the robbers as just insurance, like as an insurance scam, right?
Mm-hmm.
To like rob the house and then get insurance money or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Right? But then he realized Kevin's home alone, so he was about to call off the robbers, and then he was like, wait a second. These guys seemed like pieces of shit. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll kill Kevin. But he didn't realize that Kevin, like, you know, has some weird knowledge of booby traps, I guess. And
Kevin's a boy genius, dude. Kevin's a savant.
Kevin's young John Kramer from Saw. Dude.
Yeah.
Have you heard that fan theory that Kevin is the child version of Jigsaw?
I think I had like read some kind of thumbnail or title that said that, but I never actually read into it. But I had heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing more to it than that.
Just that.
It's just a fun. Yeah, it's like a fun thought experiment, but
yeah, what if?
I think our headcanon thing with the dad is better, honestly.
It's the funnier one, which I think should be. I feel like it always should be. Whatever the funniest thing is, should always be the thing.
Yeah.
The consensus agreement.
Well, it's like Roger Rabbit said, dude. Only when it's funny. You know.
The house looks secure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because they sent somebody there. Okay.
I always thought this desk lady was cute as hell, bro.
Let me take a look at her. Well, they're not showing her again. So they had that one shot of her.
Oh, no, they're going to show her again. Anyone who knows that actress, put it in the comments. No, I'm just kidding.
the actress. Yeah,
I might mute that part out for my girlfriend's sake, but or I might just leave it in. I doubt
it might save you.
Honestly, my girlfriend has a really good sense of humor and can actually understand the fact that I've been watching this movie since I was 5 years old through the age of 26 when I started dating her, and that I was once upon a time attracted to other women. Yeah.
You have a longer relationship with her.
Yeah, with the airline lady. Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys think that the dad actor is trying to pull off some kind of Bruce Willis look?
The dad actor?
Yeah.
You know what? That is so funny. I can't unsee that now.
Like, he just looks like Bruce Willis in the first movie. In the first fucking Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Die Hard. That was last year's Christmas special. That
was last year's special, yeah.
I think this one's already better, though, dude.
I don't know how in the hell it happens that, with our timing, that it ends up that you do the specials, which I'm happy with, because I'm never like in the headspace to be like, oh, let's do a commentary.
Yeah, you haven't picked any commentaries yet.
No, because I never think about it being like, I don't, like, I enjoy them more when doing them under this context than me suggesting us to, like, actually, like, do something.
Yeah.
The iconic screaming in the mirror look.
Yep. Now Kevin's like, oh, I wonder what'll happen if I climb a really flimsy shelf.
No, that's Mark Kevin.
Yeah.
So he's just a savant, really, because there's some things that he's not really good at.
Yeah.
Not the brightest kid at, but then he can make some weapons.
Yeah, I agree, Edward. Kevin's an idiot.
He really is. Like, how old is he supposed to be in this movie anyway?
I think 8.
8?
Yeah. Pretty. I mean, I was an idiot at 8 years old, dude. There's no way I would have stopped a robbery. I would have been toast.
I've always been a genius since I was like 3. At that age that Kevin is, I would have just called the police.
Yeah.
I would have been like, Policía, por favor. Report to my house. There's some robbers.
Have you guys seen the Family Guy cutaway where they go like, we now return to Home Alone with competent robbers, and it like shows. Have you guys seen that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So you guys, how like in Family Guy they always do like the
random
little cutaways, or like the we now return to, and they'll have like some TV show but like a parody of it. And so the guy goes, we now return to Family Guy we now return to Home Alone with competent robbers, and it like cuts to these 2 robbers like walking into a house, and they're
hostage.
Well, they walk into the house and they're like, oh, there's ornaments on the floor. I guess we'll just walk around those. And, there's toy cars all over the floor in front of the stairs. So I guess we'll just, step over those. And then it cuts to like Kevin's like at the top of the stairs. He's like, hey, you morons, come and get me. And like one of them just shoots him. It's great.
Man, Joe Pesci, that hairline was not doing him any favors.
Whose hairline?
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci? I haven't seen Joe Pesci in like 10 minutes, dude. What part of the movie are you at?
I'm the same one that you guys are at. What are you talking about?
Joe Pesci hasn't been in the movie for like 5 minutes. I mean, we're at the part where Kevin's stealing the toothbrush, right?
Is that where we're at?
Kevin's in the store. The old man is... Yeah, we're at... Let me see. 40 minutes and
10 seconds.
40 minutes and 5 seconds. That's where I'm at.
Oh, okay. I'm like a minute behind you guys for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to skip ahead a minute?
Yeah, I'll skip it.
Yeah, I'm currently at 40:20.
Oh, yeah, I'm there with you.
Okay, cool.
You're being chased by that cup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there. I don't know how in the hell I got behind like that.
Yeah, that's the cop you want protecting your neighborhood, man. This cop that can't even catch a kid.
He's like trying super hard.
Yeah. Kevin could have gotten his face sliced off by an ice skate right there, dude. Yeah, that's the cop you want protecting your neck of the woods.
Defeated.
Oh, come on, cheer up, Kevin. You got away with it.
Yeah, but now he's slowly succumbed like Joe Pesci and What's the name of the other guy?
Marv.
Marv.
I don't know the actor's name. I think it's like Daniel something. I love this, how he floods all the houses.
Yeah.
And then Harry gets pissed at him for doing it. Where he's like breaking all the goods that they just stole. No wonder these guys got beat by an 8-year-old.
You did it again, you bastard.
I love how New York Joe Pesci is, man. Joe Pesci reminds me so much.
It's calling cartoon flooding people's houses.
We're the wet bandits.
Oh, man.
I love how New York Joe Pesci is in every movie, like in Goodfellas too. He's just like, you know, Henry, you know what I'm talking about? Let's go chop him up. Let's go chop him up.
Jeez, Kevin, look where you're going.
Yeah, Joe Pesci. The way Joe Pesci talks reminds me so much of like certain members of my extended family.
Yeah,
it's just like that New York accent. I saw the other day. Oh, dude! So I love that part where he recognizes him.
Yeah,
he realizes something's up.
I don't like the way that kid looked at me. Oh, jeez.
I like how they wrote the way they wrote movies back then was different. Because in a movie nowadays, like Harry would have immediately been like, "Oh, wait a second, that's the kid from the McAllister house," But like in this movie, it's like the bad guys have to kind of put it together too.
Mm-hmm.
Writing was just way more interesting back in the day. I feel like pre-millennial movies overall. Again, there's great movies coming out every year, but I don't know, man. I just feel overall, man, writing was just more, the way people wrote was more interesting back in the day. Because like I said, nowadays, this scene now would be like, oh wait, that's the kid that lives at, I recognized him immediately. That's the kid that lives at 404 such and such lane.
Right.
And it'd be like, oh, okay, I guess everyone knows everything in this movie.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel real. But when you watch this, it feels real. It feels like these are actual people, where it's like, yeah, like Harry saw tons of kids when he was dressed up as a cop. Go ahead.
Right. There's a level of this movie of procedure, right? Where it's just like, oh, things are not given. It's like, oh, he saw Kevin, he found him strange. Like, let's follow this kid. Let's see where he's going. Has he seen me before? But it's not him like immediately making that connection, and you can't expect the character to have made that connection. Or he was in that house with like 30 people,
Yeah.
But it's like you said, like now in movies, people just jump to the conclusions because movies don't care about the procedure. Movies just care about the execution of the element. Like this is where we're trying to get. Let's just get there as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yep.
And somehow this movie being an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, he's able to just pack so much like material, and then it concerns itself with just like this like small like more procedural things of like, who is that kid? Do they know him? They're gonna follow him. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But as like you said, the movies like this are not made anymore. Like, it's interesting because I was watching that Robert Eggers video where he polled his audience. I actually participated in that poll, and it was like about what people thought were like the best movies, like 90s, 80s, 70s, and 2000s, and so on and so forth. He did the same thing for music, video games, and TV shows. And for TV shows, surprisingly enough, it was like the 90s one for TV, I think. And then the highest one for TV was like the 2010s. It was like 90s and then 2010s. And then for movies, the winners were like the 80s and then the 90s and the 70s, I think.
Okay.
And it is just something about how they were making movies back then, were just like more like interestingly like thinking about writing. Like this was the time and place, like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s were the times during which people were legitimately winning awards for writing and they were legitimate great writers.
Yeah.
And they would just win those awards again, you know. Like you had people like that, you know. You had people like I mean Woody Allen. You had people like in the 2000s, people like Tarantino. Tarantino has like 2 or 3 like best writer awards. And I think he was like trying to compete with like Sidney Pollack or something. Like there was a time and place in which like people just saw the art form as like, how can I elevate the art form? How can I excel in the art form? And how can I, you know, make writing into this like great thing and then do it consecutively. But now I feel like, especially with like movies and then with like stuff like the Oscars, every year somebody different wins.
Yeah.
You know, like every year, like in the time that we've been in college, and it was like Jordan Peele and like, you know, Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, and it's just like random dudes winning every year for movies that are not very good, and for writing in those movies that is not very like good or like engaging or nuanced, you know. Yet that's what we have winning in writing categories. It's like it's almost obscene, you know, that this is kind of the state of filmmaking, and that there's no like voice, and that even the great filmmakers that we still have, when they make movies, people don't recognize them just because it feels like blasé almost.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Tarantino made a great movie. Who cares? We're not even gonna recognize him. But it's just like, who's making movies like this guy? Like, for my money, like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is still one of the best movies made this decade. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, movies are very disappointing, man. You know, like every time that I watch like a new movie, like I'll always come out of it just kind of feeling like, what in the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
you know, not to be some old dude, and I mean we're not like, obviously we're not Rob Eggers, like in his 40s, like shedding on, or however old that guy is, probably 50, shedding on like everything. But it suffices to say, man, I feel like movies these days are just like terrible.
That's funny. When you said Rob Eggers, I thought you were talking about Robert Eggers, the guy who made The Witch, and now I realize you're talking about Rob Eger.
Ager, yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Ager.
Okay. That makes more sense. I was like, wait, what? Bro, I didn't know Robert Eggers has a YouTube channel. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about now. Yeah.
Rob Eger came out with a video, I think it was today, about how the Terrifier franchise could be better. I haven't even seen any of those.
I haven't seen any of them.
No.
I haven't seen any of them.
They're just like gore, torture porn.
Yeah, because he mentioned them. I watched his video on like Date Night or Last Night with the Devil or whatever.
Yeah.
Oddity. I watched that video. And in that video, he mentioned that he watched Terrifier 2 and that he just thought that it was just like excessive, like torture porn, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense that he would have made that video just kind of criticizing those movies. But I've seen clips of Terrifier because I had the first one. I had the first one like on my to-watch list, and after seeing those clips, I'm like, I don't think I want to watch that.
Yeah. It is cool that they and like Terrifier 3 just came out, and I don't know at what point in the editing process I'll put those skits in where we mention that, but like that's a new Christmas horror film that just came out, and I think it's really cool. Like I was at a haunted house last month for the Halloween season, and there was a guy there dressed as Art the Clown, and I think it's really cool that we have a modern horror villain icon like Jason and Freddy.
Sure.
I mean, Art the Clown he's up there. He is next to, I would put him up there with, like, you know, at least for our generation. Maybe your parents won't recognize him, but for us, he's with Freddy Krueger. Like, he's with Michael Myers. I mean, everybody. I feel like everybody knows. Yeah, he's very recognizable. If not, then very close. He will be one day. But yeah, like there's a guy dressed as Art
right now, though.
I would say he's like, I don't know, dude, because like B tier, I would put like the Insidious demon or like Bagul from Sinister in, but Art the Clown, like I said, man, I went to a haunted house and there's a guy there dressed up as him, like, really? You know, you see him. You've had more exposure to it than I have. Yeah, like you see him places. I've been in like when I still had Facebook and stuff. I was in horror groups. You'd see memes of him like daily, you know.
Because I feel like those.
I would say he's close to Freddy.
Are kind of universal, where like you could go anywhere, people would know those things.
Yeah, I think Art needs more time. Art the Clown needs more time, but he will once
sure.
our generation is middle aged. Like, I think he'll be there with like Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers.
So maybe we can give him like a B+.
I think so. Yeah,
He has potential.
With upside.
Yeah.
He's definitely the performance is definitely good. Like those I've seen clips of those movies too, and I mean, his performance is very uncanny and creepy.
It has to be said, man, that Macaulay Culkin just carries this film. It's really like interesting to think about, like, because actors oftentimes talk about like the how heavy it is to carry a film. You know, like if you listen to actors acting, I mean, if you listen to actors on acting, they often talk about like, oh, you know, people often ask them like, how did you feel when you were given like your first leading role?
Yeah,
And you had to lead a film and be like in every scene of the film. And they always talk about like, oh man, it's so heavy. You have to just like carry these emotions from one scene to the other and this, that, and everything. And it's like, but then with Macaulay Culkin, he's a little boy.
yeah.
And he's like carrying this movie on his shoulders like a titan.
I know. Yeah. What a hero.
Yeah.
Now he's hanging out with. I respect Macaulay Culkin a lot, man. He got past all of his issues, and now he seems like he's just living a good life. I think he's married, right, to the woman who played London Tipton.
Yeah,
Sweet
dude, they have
Life.
a kid and everything.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean,
and he got a Hollywood star, and he did a speech. She was crying. She seems like she's good to him. Very nice on him.
Yeah,
That's
man,
awesome.
Yeah, and he just hangs out with Cinemassacre, the angry video game nerd. Like now, you know, they're like buddies. He just does like cool like. He like does comedy content online and stuff.
Yeah,
he's kind of like
he's just living his best life.
He's part of this weird subculture, along with like Josh Peck. Who hang out who hang around with people like Max Landis before he was canceled, and like Cinemassacre, or the angry video game nerd, also known as.
I think he might have
where it's like this weird subculture,
or maybe I just have like a fake memory of that, but I think he did.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, he did. You're right. Yeah, it's like this subculture of former celebrity, of like former big actors who now pal around with like movie critics. It's kind of weird, like, but I'm kind of here for it. I kind of like it.
With Josh Peck, it was more him hanging out with like David Dobrik and like random like Vine people. But I respect Macaulay Culkin more. But and also with Josh Peck, Josh Peck was like a B tier celebrity, and Macaulay Culkin was like an A tier. I mean, that guy was hanging out with like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But he had nothing positive to say about Michael, so
yeah,
apparently they had a good relationship.
Yep.
Kevin, how can you be scared of it?
Yeah, what a baby.
How can you be scared of that, Kevin?
That's fine. I think they play like they sample the Nightmare on Elm Street score here. It looks this movie takes a lot from Nightmare on Elm Street. Actually, if you think about it.
We have reached an interesting point in this movie, right? Because we saw Kevin doing groceries, meaning that the dad actually just planned to either kill Kevin by Joe Pesci or to kill Kevin by starvation.
Yeah.
Kevin had to be resourceful, had to go out shopping, dude.
The dad didn't tell anybody, but he's got like a nanny cam set up so he can see everything that's going on. He's like, it's like a sport. He's like a sports bettor, but instead of actually a sports game, he's just watching his son. Just like fingers crossed, like in front of it, just like, oh no.
if they like bring his dad to justice, you know, I think his explanation would be like, I know, the second that he was born, when I looked at him in his eyes, I knew that he was the Antichrist.
Yeah.
I tried to drown him when he was a baby.
He has like 4 or 5 other like dads in the neighborhood, and they're all like watching this live stream, like setting like parlays on like what's gonna happen next. Like, is the burglar gonna strangle him? Like,
yeah. Oh man.
But the dad is like, but I just realized that I couldn't do it with my own hands. I had to seek professional help.
Oh
And then he
man,
looks at Joe Pesci and the other guy. What's his other guy? Marv.
Yeah.
He looks at them like from the podium as he's testifying, and he goes like, "But I didn't realize that these guys are such idiots."
So I actually love this scene right here because if you watch this scene and listen to what the dialogue is between Harry and Marv when he gets back in the truck, it implies that they saw this movie that Kevin's playing a long time ago, but they can't quite put their finger on it. Watch this. Yeah, I love that implication right there. Marv's like, I know I've heard that name Snakes before. It's like, it implies, again, it's like, this is like a goofy family comedy, but they still had great writing in this movie where it's like it's an interesting detail where it's like, you can kind of put two and two together where it's like, obviously Marv has seen that movie before and it sort of like unlocked a weird partial memory for him. And it's like a little detail that doesn't matter. But again, when you have a kick-ass script with great characters and a great plot and a great pace, solid themes in there, then you can play with those. Yeah.
Okay.
Then you can play with those themes or those those little details. But modern movies don't even have the essentials nailed down, so then they don't even throw in those like fun little details in there.
Right.
Because it's like you don't even have a good script, so like.
Right, because it's also that character writing, right? Of like taking the time to think about these characters and giving them like some kind of at least like some kind of semblance of a backstory.
Yeah.
And incorporating that, like you said, like this movie exists in this world. So this character would have watched this movie at some point if it's like a really popular movie.
Yeah.
And then there would have been some semblance of a connection to that. And again, like at that point, that's like three layers of depth in writing, right?
Yeah.
The movie and the film, the movie the character watches, and the movie that the antagonist knows through the history of the movie. And it's like, again, it's like you have to think about these things,
Yep. There he is, the
Candy.
legend, John Candy, dude.
There he is.
What a legend. Thanksgiving's coming up, and every year, dude, after Thanksgiving dinner, we have a great Thanksgiving. The whole family's there, and then the relatives leave, and me, my parents, and my sisters, we sit down and we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That's how I
Thanksgiving
watched it
night.
for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. When you were with us for Thanksgiving that one year, yeah. Starring John Candy, Steve Martin.
Great movie.
Dude, that's got to be like my favorite holiday movie ever. That movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles gets funnier like every time I see it.
Every year?
Dude, every year it just gets funnier.
John Candy's just so good, man. He's just so good.
So good.
Rest in peace.
Him and Steve Martin in that movie, they're so good. So freaking funny. Like Steve Martin, just the little facial expressions and stuff there's just the little details, the little facial expressions and shit that he makes in that movie when he's irritated or pissed with John Candy's character. He's just so good. It's so hilarious.
Every time that they have like a random like shot of like a random extra, I always think that guy's related to somebody.
Yeah.
Or that's just the director.
Yeah. I don't know of any cameos in this movie off the top of my head. I know Trump's in the second one.
Yeah.
The Donald.
That's the big one.
Donald.
Excuse me, do you know where the lobby is? Down the hall to the left.
How did he get in that movie?
New York, man.
I wouldn't know about the history about that, dude.
Down the hall to the left.
They're on the stakeout, dude. They just like slept outside the house.
Yeah, this has become dragged across concrete, dude. Just two dudes. That's the movie. That's the crossover I want to see. Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson staking out Kevin McAllister. Kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
So, I don't know if you guys heard this, but the other day they announced that the Godzilla Minus One director is now making another Godzilla movie.
Really?
They just greenlit it, dude.
Godzilla Minus 2?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a sequel or a whole nother timeline, but I think it'd be good if, I think it'd be cool if they made a sequel. Got to get another monster in there, though, now.
Dude, it's ingenious how he saw him in the fucking ball.
Yeah.
He saw him in the reflection, and then he played it out like his dad was there.
Yep.
He's like, but wait, Marv, didn't the dad ask us to kill this kid? Why would he be here?
No, dude, the lore is that he's just hoping that the robbers
So they kill him.
kill the kid. Yeah, he needs plausible deniability.
Yeah.
He's hoping. It's like in Better Call Saul when Gus tells Nacho to shoot at whoever he sees come to the motel door, and he's hoping that the ensuing shootout will cause Nacho's death.
Yeah.
It's like that. You're afraid of the dark too, Marv. But yeah, what would you like to see from a Godzilla Minus One sequel, Edward? I mean, I don't think that movie really needs a sequel, but if we get one, it could be good, though. I'm sure, because we tend to forget that, like, in this modern climate of endless sequels, we tend to write off sequels, but honestly, like, some of the best movies are sequels,
Sure.
So it's like, and Godzilla Minus One was a great movie.
Yeah.
So it could be like Godzilla Minus One could be like the Godfather of Godzilla movies, and Godzilla, the second one could be the Godfather Part 2 of Godzilla movies,
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know, man, because it's like, where did that movie even? I guess we shouldn't really go too big into spoilers, but I mean, I know how the movie ended and where it ended and what happened, but I don't know, because it's like, honestly, I feel like it would be great if they make a sequel, maybe like 10 or 20 years later.
Yeah.
And just like, because it feels like where the original movie ended, it just felt like there was nothing that Japan could do anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they try their final hand, and then it's like, I know that the implications there, but then at that point, it's just like, that's just total annihilation,
Yeah.
Well, that would be a great name. Godzilla Total Annihilation.
Yeah.
But, I feel like they should do go up a decade and then do another one, maybe another decade and do another one. That would be interesting. We never got the Anno sequel off of like the Shin Godzilla, but seeing another director maybe to have a take on a modern Japan Godzilla situation, that would be cool too. I know Anno already did it, but I mean, it's been like what since that? It's been like 8 years since that.
Yeah,
so we could have another like modern Japan Godzilla. Or we could have a 90s Japan Godzilla. That would be cool too. I just feel like I don't want to go back to that time period. We already got that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we already got like 50s, 60s Japan. Like, I feel like we should do
40s Japan.
Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, exactly. I feel like we should do now. I feel like we should just go up. Let's just go up in time, because that was a timepiece. That was a period film, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, let's just make another one. Let's make another period film, and let's just go up again, like maybe to the 50s, maybe to the 60s. It would be great if it was the 80s or the 90s, and I feel like that would be great. Just reintroducing a threat, reintroducing like a version of Japan in that time period, and then being like, how would this Japan deal with that?
Yeah.
Because now through Anno, we saw how, I guess, like a 2010s Japan would deal with it. And to this movie, we obviously saw a reinterpretation of a 40s Godzilla film. So it's just like, let's just keep going, I feel like that's interesting. To me, that's interesting, and just kind of pitting the people up against that threat. how do they deal with it? Do they deal with it? Do they lose to it? What are the solutions? Like, how does that acting government in that period in time resolve that issue? To me, those are like very inherently like interesting angles for sure.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously, like with the one that we saw how the movie had a big emphasis on kind of like the power of the people, where the government was just kind of like their hands were behind their back. And with the Anna movie, we saw how bureaucratic the process was, but the process ultimately through that bureaucracy was successful. Like that bureaucratic process of the 2010s Japan successfully like put down that threat. You know, so it's just like, how would they have dealt with that in a different scenario, with a different government, with a different population, with a different thought process?
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating. I'm down with him making another one because he was so successful with that first one that his hands are the hands to trust to make another Godzilla film for sure. You know, especially since Anno is just kind of BC, like reimagining and kind of reintegrating those kind of Toho pieces. You know, like he already did the Kamen Rider, and I thought that was a really good, fun Kamen Rider kind of like reimagining and rebringing it to the modern age. So we can just leave Anno to doing that. Like Anno can just keep remaking these movies. But
He
this
did
guy,
Ultraman too, didn't he?
He didn't do Ultraman. He wrote it though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that'd be good to check that one out too at some point.
I want to check it out, but
Shin
it just had
Ultraman.
like no buzz. That's
Yeah.
like how I'm disappointed, and I feel they should have given it. Like I don't know why they wanted to push those movies out so fast. Like not so fast, but they wanted to push those movies out like in some kind of like pacing with one another. And Anno wrote the Shin Kamen Rider and he directed it. And it was like fully 100% just Anno. And I really loved that one. Even though like I said in the podcast when I talked about it, like I didn't think it was great. I just thought that it was like a really good Anno movie.
Yeah.
But for Shin Ultraman, like they should have let him direct it too. But him and because you know he co-directed Shin Godzilla with Shinji Higuchi. I forget the name of the director. But the guy that he co-directed Shin, he directed Ultraman, and Anno directed Kamen Rider, and Anno broke both. And I'm guessing that he didn't. I'm guessing that Shinji just didn't do like a good job with Ultraman because it just had no like. It just came and went. It came and went completely like a fucking dud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing that it came out, and I was like, oh, I thought that was still like in production, but it already came out.
It came out.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even grow up on Ultraman, so I don't even give a shit. But
no, neither did I. Like the thing that I really grew up, because you know that I didn't even grow up with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like that has been just kind of like a teenage thing with me. But with Kamen Rider, I grew up with Kamen Rider, so that's like I was like very excited for that. Because when I was a little boy, I loved Kamen Rider and I loved Power Rangers.
Hell
to this day, I fucking adore Kamen Rider. It's like one of the fucking coolest things ever, you know? So the second that I hit Prime, the second that I hit like any kind of being online, I watched it. But with Ultraman, like you, I've never seen that. So I've not had like any excitement to go look after it. And because I know it's not Anno, and Anno is like, as you know, my favorite director, I also didn't really pursue it very hard.
Yeah. Let me see what this is that you're talking about, because I obviously know Power Rangers, but I don't think I know this other Shin Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider.
Anno.
Yeah.
Kamen Rider
Shin
is the
Kamen
actual
Rider
thing.
Okay, yeah. Shin was just like this kind of like weird, like
Shin
loose.
Godzilla.
Yeah, it was like the loose.
Yeah.
It was like a loose series almost.
Yeah.
Okay, Kamen Rider. Do I recognize this? I don't even. I feel like I've heard you talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen this.
But instead of being like Power Rangers, they're like monikered, like the image of each one of them is after Beatles. You know, like Beatles. But you have to be also like weirdly into Beatles and how cool Beatles could look and be, and think like, oh, maybe if a Beatle was like a dude fighting people. So.
Yeah, Beatles are cool. I think Beatles make up like a very significant portion of all species on Earth or something, I think.
Beatles are cool as heck, dude.
Beatles species Percentage. Let me see. Dude, it's so cool how you could just ask ChatGPT anything these days.
Yeah.
Beetles make up approximately 25% of all known animal species and 40% of all insect
Wow.
species. That's insane, dude.
That's insane.
Good for
But
good for those
a
guys.
lot. Japan has like a really high beetle population.
Yeah,
There was a lot of beetles in my country when I was growing up too. They were everywhere.
yeah. We had them too. Japanese beetles. They would get all over like trees and
Yeah.
bushes and stuff.
Yep. But that's the thing. Like, because of that, I guess for whoever created Kamen Rider, that was kind of the birth of that idea. And I remember when I watched it as a kid, I was like, "What? Their powers are like a beetle powers, you
Yeah.
know." And whatever beetle they are, there's kind of like that. They're unique because they're all strong and they're all like super agile. But whatever the beetle was that they came from, that's like the unique property that they had.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking like, "Oh, this is sick," you know. And I was like, it was around that time when I was a kid, where I was like watching that and watching like Generator Rex,
Generator
and, like,
Rex, dude.
Ben 10,
Ben
like,
10.
dude, that was like the
Ben 10
peak.
was the shit.
That
Yeah.
time period of my life when I was a little boy was like peak. That's when I was watching all those shows.
Hell yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kamen Rider and Ben 10 and Generator Rex, Dragon Ball, like all these things were that time. Dude.
Oh yeah.
And Home Alone.
yeah. This is when Kevin realizes that this guy isn't like a serial killer. Dude, I
Yeah,
remember
just a guy.
this is so accurate too, because I remember there would always just be like rumors about people in the neighborhood when you were a kid. Like, oh, that person
Yeah.
actually has like 3 eyeballs or something. I saw it
Mhm,
one time,
mhm.
you know, and it's just like this is just like some shitty kid
Some dude
who's like gonna go be in jail one day, like making up stories about someone who lives down the street. I may have contributed to some of those growing up, not gonna lie. Wait, when you're a kid, you don't realize that these things fucking like affect the adults' lives.
Right.
When you're just some shitty kid, you're like, oh, this won't do anything.
Yeah. And little do they know, then that adult has like other kids being like, "Oh, run away from him!" They're like, "Oh, what's going on? What did they do?"
Oh wait. People think I'm a serial killer now? What? Yeah, Jack, I would dude, if there's a movie I would bump to the top of your freaking queue, I would say Godzilla Minus One, dude. That was a banger for the ages. Like,
I remember you telling me that was really well done.
that was the movie of the year last year. I know, Edward, you say Oppenheimer, right? For last year?
To me,
Oppenheimer.
I gotta hand
was
it to Godzilla Minus One.
No, to me, Oppenheimer was like the significant movie-going experience for me. Yeah.
I mean, we saw Oppenheimer
I loved
together.
that movie.
Yeah. Edward and I saw it in theaters together. Oppenheimer
Before Death Grips.
Yeah, that was the
Wild
movie.
ass day, dude.
That was a wild weekend. Yeah, we went to see Oppenheimer, and then we drove to Charlotte to see Death Grips in concert and moshed. That was fucking awesome.
That's awesome, dude.
But yeah,
We ordered pizza like at 1 a.m.
Yeah, we did, dude. Yeah, we were like gonna go out and like bar hop after, and
Everything was closed.
Yeah, and then we were like, well, and also we were like completely spent from moshing at Death Grips.
I mean, we came out of there like drenched. Like, we were exhausted.
Yeah. But yeah, Oppenheimer for me was like, that was the movie of the year, and then Godzilla Minus One, I was like, nah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer's second fiddle to Godzilla Minus One for me.
Yeah. Well, because you know that I had, and for those listening to this commentary, go back to the Godzilla Minus One episode and enjoy that one. You know that I had like some minor kind of just like, I wish they would have done this and that.
We didn't have a Godzilla Minus One episode, did we?
We didn't?
No, we didn't. We talked about it on last year's, ironically, Christmas special, I think.
Really?
We've talked about it, but we should do an episode on it.
Episode.
We did have an Oppenheimer episode, yeah.
Yeah, we had that Oppenheimer episode. People liked that one too. That was like a very clicked video. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it ultimately just felt to me like, you know, like when we watched Oppenheimer, like that viewing experience that we had of that film, you know, watched it on IMAX.
Yeah.
And it just felt like so And it's interesting because they're almost they're almost just like partner films because they're both about the extremely similar topics of just doom,
Yeah,
and world-ending
and
threats,
nuclear danger.
nuclear danger. But I just saw that Oppenheimer edged it out, and I left Oppenheimer just filled with that just kind of existential, I guess, like awareness, but also just very
Sure.
moved. Like the movie moved me like emotionally, which is like the first Christopher Nolan movie ever to do that for me. That's also why I think it's his best film.
Yeah. Oh,
But I
Godzilla
also
Minus One fucking moved me, man.
I also that's the thing. Like Godzilla Minus One, like did, but not to that extent.
Here it is. Here it is. Shoots him in the crotch, dude.
Blindly to it.
Oh man, that is great. And then he shoots Marv in the face right here.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, and for the well, let's watch this first.
Dude, I would have called it quits then. I would have been like, I'm done. Let's leave.
Oh man.
He's like smiled a little bit and then just took a BB straight to the face.
Yeah, I will say this too about Godzilla Minus One. Like, my experience, I would say my opinion on that movie is completely detached from the fact that I'm a Godzilla fan. Like, it's completely unbiased. Like, I really think it is just a phenomenal movie that happens to be a Godzilla movie. Because here's the thing, like, as a Godzilla fan, I fully admit that most Godzilla movies are about of the quality of like the Venom movies. Like they are of the Venom movies, or like at the most, like even like when you get into the main series, even some of the better ones are they're about of the same quality as like maybe the first Thor movie. Like they're like good decent popcorn films. And I love the character of Godzilla, and I love like the art, the special effects, the monster fights, the different creature designs, like the lore. But I admit that most of them are about that quality. But
most of them were pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, but Godzilla was Godzilla Minus One was an incredibly moving film. I mean, I showed it to like when it finally came out on streaming. Like my family and I visited my family and we sat down and watched it. And like my mom, who doesn't like horror movies or monster movies at all, like the credits rolled and she was like, "That was excellent." I mean, she was like, "That was amazing."
Yeah.
Truly like a absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Well, that's the thing. Like you and I are basically agreeing to disagree or disagreeing to agree, because it's like one of those things like where this. Like I have Oppenheimer at a 9.5 this movie. I have Godzilla at a 9 on my ratings.
Yeah.
So it's like they're both movies that I think are incredible. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I just give Oppenheimer the edge. Like it just worked a little bit better for me.
Yeah.
But I do think they're both incredible movies.
Yeah, same here.
That Godzilla won like an Academy Award.
I will say Oppenheimer really well. I mean, I haven't seen Minus One, so obviously I can't give an opinion on that.
You should see it. That really should be at the top of your list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll watch it. this next week or so.
Yeah, we're gonna check in and make sure you did it too, dude. No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it'll be on my recap next year. First recap. But
Damn.
yeah, walking out of like Oppenheimer, I just felt like the gravity of that whole situation and just the crisis of having created something,
and it's real,
and then being like,
right?
oh fuck, like this can't, like this, we need to be careful about how we use this.
Right, and it's so real because then it puts in your head into perspective history, right? The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War, like it just puts everything, like all of these things into perspective. And it brings into the forefront of your mind like how close we've been to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also it's like so endlessly topical because of what's happening right this second,
with Russia. I heard about that, dude.
Yeah.
God damn, man.
So the movie just feels urgent and imperative, and then there's elements about the movie that are just like very moving. But you have to see Godzilla, because again, for Jake and I I think you and I, Jake, both rated those movies like extremely highly, like both Godzilla and Oppenheimer. I think you gave it to like a 10, right?
Oppenheimer, I gave it 9, and Godzilla
Yeah.
Minus One, I gave it 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and I gave both of them 9s. So it's like for Jake and I, like those are movies that we think incredibly like highly of.
Yeah.
And for me, Oppenheimer's edging out Godzilla, and for Jake, Godzilla's edging out Oppenheimer. So you would have to be the tiebreaker on that. You would have to watch it and then, like see like how you feel about them. Although I mean, Jake, you and I had like a very fresh perspectives on it because we had seen those two movies like within a very respectable like period in between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, like we watched Oppenheimer together, and then Godzilla Minus One. I saw that on opening night, and then
And I saw it like the week after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, what's funny enough,
Surprised we didn't
I
do an
think,
episode about that because we watched it like around the same time.
yeah, I should have picked Godzilla Minus One for this season, because then the season 2, we ended it like right after we saw Godzilla Minus One, or season 1 rather. But
Yeah.
one thing I was gonna say is, funny enough, I think Oppenheimer is actually a great double feature with the original Godzilla film from 1954. Because that movie is almost... Godzilla 1954 is basically Oppenheimer with a giant monster. Like, the themes are essentially the exact same, and it's just told in the format of like a monster movie. I actually think that Oppenheimer and the original Godzilla are almost a better double feature than the original Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One would be as a double feature. Because Godzilla Minus One, there's a little bit of nuclear themes in there, but not really. It's more about like the whole concept of self-sacrifice in Japanese in the Japanese military, and like in Japanese culture, and
but
kind of the attitude toward their soldiers in World War II and such.
Yes.
So yeah, kind of interesting. How
he built traps
Oppenheimer.
just to, like, ridicule them.
Yeah. Yeah, like some of these don't even do anything.
No.
Yeah, I think Kevin's feeling a lot like Oppenheimer in this scene, like, wow, what have I created with this madhouse of torture? Oh.
Ooh, that's terrible. That's the point where I leave. Like, there are so many points in here where it's like, dude, I just want to call it quits. Like, do you really want to like rob and hurt this kid so bad?
Especially when you've hit a couple other houses already.
Yeah.
Like, get out while you're ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think
they're gambling addicts, aren't they?
I think what happened, I don't even think they're thinking about robbing the house at this point. I think Harry, I think Harry got so mad when he got shot in the crotch that I think he just wants to.
He wants to hurt him. Yeah.
I'm up here, you morons.
He just wants to hurt him. Ooh. Damn.
Oh man, that's awesome. Here's the paint cans, dude. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Bam.
God damn.
Oh, sure, Joe. And he hit the other one with his head too. He hit both of them.
God damn.
Your cojones.
I always thought this part was funny, like how the editing they had to do here, like the way they had to edit this scene, it was like they kind of edited it out of order, where it's like it doesn't seem like Kevin has enough time to make that phone call.
Yeah, really.
Dude, this scene rules. With the spider, this scene fucking rules.
Because Marva, like, he like legitimately had him.
Yeah. This is so good. Dude, this scene captures perfectly that feeling of having like a bug or something in your room, and you're just like the actor did great because there's even parts where you could see him like touching his face, like wondering if it's on his face. That's how you feel. Like if you find like a cockroach in your kitchen or something, like you're just like you feel like it
You
can
feel
like
it's on you.
yeah. Mav. He's like touching his face. Oh, that's funny, man. Oh, well,
check it out.
I can't believe season 2 of Film Tangents is almost over.
Yeah, right? It's been a year, everybody, hasn't it?
It's insane, man.
And this is now we're going into year 3 of Film Tangents. Probably year 4 if we count all of our Phantom episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Our trial run.
Yeah,
if you're listening, comment below what were your favorite movies of 2024. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I want to know that for sure.
What are your goals from 2020
for
2025? What movies you want to see?
Anybody has Letterboxd, link it. Link it in the chat. I'd love to see what you guys are watching, your top movies. But if not, like Jake said, just give us a rundown of the shit that you watched this year that you really loved, that you think we should check out. Yeah, like Jake said too, what are your goals? What are your New Year goals for the big 25?
Yep. Yeah. A comment what you want us to review in 2025. What you want us to keep an eye out for, like maybe new releases in 2025 that you want us to maybe catch early and do a review on or do an episode on. This is when these guys get really stupid.
Yes. Why are you guys doing this? Why didn't you guys just go back down? Why are you guys doing this?
With this movie, the dumb villains, it just works though, because it's like Kevin is already at a disadvantage because he's like an 8-year-old kid.
He is. Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of it's like a satisfying revenge fantasy.
Yeah.
Revenge on adults.
Yes.
As a kid.
I always felt so disappointed that they get him anyway. He's just a little boy. Like, guys, he left the house. You can rob him now.
Hey, I'm calling the cops. This is when they smarten up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part was always pretty scary. Like when you're a kid, just seeing like a little kid who's your age get caught by these burglars.
Yeah, dude, it was like, oh shit, they got him.
Especially in the second one when they point a gun at him. Like I remember even as a kid just being like, that ain't right, man.
Especially there, like dude, they fucking outsmart his ass, and it's like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
And his face is just like, oh my god, I didn't expect this.
Yeah, I thought these guys were idiots.
No, they hit him up. A hero.
Yeah, comes the damn shovel slayer.
First thought to be a villain.
Let's go. Hell yeah.
Bro might actually be a serial killer. That technique was too good.
Oh yeah. That was some good shovel slaying right there, dude. It's like the police just find Marv and Harry like with their heads completely bashed in. It's like he came back to finish the job after he got Kevin home. Kevin like watches horrified as they wheel the stretchers out with the body bags.
No heads attached at all.
The dad is satisfied because he's like, well, at least all the loose ends are tied up from my insurance scam that turned into me hoping my son would die. Man, that headcanon, I'm all for it, dude. That's some great headcanon right there.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, man, we'll be going into a new year in about a month when this episode drops. At the time of this recording, we got Thanksgiving coming up, but for all intents and purposes, we got about a month until the new year. Man, this year flew by.
It went by so quick, man.
Yeah. But it was good. I mean, I don't know if you're listening to this, if you got big goals. One thing I thought of recently, kind of a random thought here, but I thought it was worth sharing. Because a lot of times people get discouraged when they have big goals because they're like, well, they get discouraged by the kind of pluralism of their competition in the sense of like they have a lot of people who are also banging on the door that they want to get through. So like for me, right, I want to be an author, a published author. There's a ton of people who want to be published authors and not a lot of slots, right? It's like there's a tiny percentage of people that actually make it, right? And that can be discouraging. One thing that I realized that is kind of the theme of my very brief TED Talk here is most people do not actually want to achieve their goals. And what I mean by that is I remember watching, there's a very popular fantasy author right now named Brandon Sanderson. If you're an aspiring writer out there, I would definitely check out his YouTube channel. He actually is a professor, a fiction creative writing professor at a university, and he uploads all of his lectures for free on YouTube. So you can legit take his class for free on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the guy is just every minute of every lecture, a guy who's been published, has like 20 published books, bestseller, one of the most successful fantasy authors of our time, with the exception of like George R.R. Martin. He's dropping gold nuggets every 30 seconds, Right. And there's only a certain, there's a certain number of people that he lets in the class. And he says at one point, like, a certain number of you will go on to be writers, but I can't really say that all of you will go on to be professional writers because that's just not realistic. Right. And I remember watching this one lecture that he was giving, and the camera's following him as he's giving this lecture, just dropping value bomb after value bomb. And in the foreground of the frame, you can see one of his students on their laptop playing a video game.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, you know what? I had a profound realization when I saw that. I was like, most people, when they have these goals, they just kind of want it. And the truth is, if you really want to achieve something like that, where there's a lot of competition, perceived competition, you really don't have that much competition because there's jokers like that everywhere.
Right.
Who they just kind of want it. They say they want it, but it's like, dude, you're in Brandon Sanderson's class. I mean, that's like being in George R.R. Martin's class, basically.
Yeah. Baltimore Sanderson had a class with, what's his name? David Foster Wallace.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and it's like, most people just don't want it that bad. So it's like, just freaking go for it. Don't worry about the competition because you really don't have much. It's all about it's just, like, yes, the industry, the entertainment industry is not a meritocracy, but freaking go for it. And a lot of this is me just talking to myself, and that's fine. Like, I don't know who's listening to this and who's valuing from this, but that was a profound lesson that I got when I was watching. That was something I noticed where I was like, wow, I thought that I had a bunch of like serious competitors, but I really don't, because this person, you would think that if anybody is serious about it, it's the person who is in Brandon Sanderson's class, and they're not, so
it's like, I just want to be playing video games.
Right. So maybe as sort of a positive message as we go into the new year, that's a little bit of, self-help Jake coming out, set those goals for 2025 and freaking go for them, man. I'm not going to sit here and preach to you forever and act like fucking Ty Lopez or something, but set those goals and go for them, and understand that, like, and this is coming from somebody who used to be a victim of circumstance, like, not too long ago, and let people kind of like tell me what was what and kind of, you know, walk all over me. Like, you can change your life. You absolutely, if you want to change your life, you absolutely can do it.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening and you have things you want to accomplish, or maybe you're not where you're at and want to be in life, going into 2025, set some goals and just freaking go for it. And just take it one day at a time. Make small changes each day and just execute each day brick by brick. And at the end, you know, after a few months, you'll have a wall, you know, as the analogy goes.
That is the best advice. You know, like, I guess if I can share a piece of advice with those listening to off of your back.
Please.
The best thing that the best piece of advice in terms of writing that I think to this day is still like the most relevant is exactly that, which you said, which is just like, you know, if you're somebody whom, you know, loves, you know, the art form, or just loves whatever art it is that you're doing, you know, whether that might be singing or dancing or whatever, what have you, you know, it's just doing it, you know. Oh,
let's hop back in.
Yeah. Okay, I was.
Jack, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, cool. Continue, Edward.
Like, for everybody listening, as we're wrapping up on this season, and as we're wrapping up on the last handful of minutes of Home Alone, it really is just that, you know, like exactly what Jake said. It's just like, it's just putting a little bit of effort every day, because I think people sometimes can stand on their own way, you know, and then you kind of look at something, and then, you know, I feel like a lot of people sometimes want to achieve whatever it is. Like, let's say they want to write a novel. You know, it's like, oh, I have to write it now. You know, I have to write it now, or I have to write 20 pages now. And it's just like, no, man, just do one, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, just start with one. If you start with one page, you know, in a year, that's 365 pages, you know. Like, it's just about being patient with yourself. There's days that you're going to write maybe 2 pages. So there's days you're going to write a half of a page. But that's fine, you know. And I think that's really it. I think that people really have to just kind of like get that into their heads, that it's just like, you don't have to shoot for this grand idea as long as you're executing the things that are important to you, you know, and putting just that little bit of effort. You know, you're building a house, you know, and then eventually you're going to be able to look back at your efforts and be like, oh shit, I can print this shit out.
Yeah.
You know, things are more satisfying than printing your shit out. If you're a writer, you know, if you have another art form, then, you know, whatever that is.
Yep.
And seeing a complete piece of work, you know. Go out there and make yourself proud. We believe in you. Come back to the Film Tangents podcast and leave us a like, leave us a message, tell us what movies you want to watch, subscribe, recommend the show to your friends. If you think that this is a show that we do that is fun and it's worth listening to, there's a lot of stuff out there that's not fun, it's not worth listening to. If you appreciate us, you know, we put effort into the show. Obviously, we love being around each other, and that's ultimately why we do it. But if you enjoy it, pass it around, and let other people enjoy this show and hang out with us.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. But thanks, guys. That's it. The credits are rolling here.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah. Thanks, Edward, for you know, more encouraging words to our audience for 2025. Because really, we're just trying to better the lives of everybody who listen in some small way, you know? So yeah, but, you know, it's about the here and now too. Like, the new year is still a month away. So enjoy the holidays. Yeah.
2024, baby.
Yeah, man. But enjoy the holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. That's a wrap on season 2. Join us next year. Anything else you boys want to say before we bounce?
Jack,
Thank you. I think you guys wrapped it up pretty well. I'm been very happy to be able to join you guys and be a part of this thing this year.
Hell yeah.
Even if it's been the tail end, so I'm looking forward to, part of 2025 coming back into the podcast, being the best version of this, repeat guest / honorary co-host in a new rare form. So I'm going to bring the heat in 2025 and take it to the next level. So I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Everybody keep an eye out for clips and compilations coming during the off season, during December and January. We're going to be back late January, early February. As we get a little closer to that time, we're going to make a community post letting you know exactly when we come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks.
What movie to look out for?
100%. Anything you got to say, Edward, before we play us out? Before I play us out?
I have the dogs barking. It reminds me of the end of like a Fiona Apple song where the dogs just start working. Everybody, love you. Everybody be safe. Merry Christmas from Film Tangents. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas and a Happy New Year.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, hey guys, that youth pastor lady that emailed in, you didn't have me recommend her a horror movie, did you? I would hate to be responsible for a thing. Well, hang on, Jake, where are you going? Okay. Edward, hey, is it true what Jake's saying? You guys aren't coming back until late January or something? What? Hang on. Wait, don't leave. Okay, this is turning into a bit of a disaster. Jack, can you maybe go outside and talk to those boys, or are you leaving too? Okay, well, bundle up. It's really cold out there. Well, folks, thanks for listening, and hope you have a Merry Christmas. Guess I'm here all by my lonesome. Suppose I could pour me a little eggnog, have a seat, maybe watch a movie. Maybe you'll check out Terrifier 3. That should lighten the mood.